Hey guys, just getting a few things set up here, namely just loading the world, of course. We will be starting momentarily. YouTube is doing the little fun thing it likes to do with Mr. Space and say that the stream health is horrible. And I'm pretty sure it's not, because everything on my end looks like it's doing just fine. So yeah, we'll just give it a little chance to breathe while the game loads up. Just taking a little bit longer than usual, so who knows what exactly is going on behind the scenes here. Now, did I manage to break that silly little toggle? Yeah, I certainly did. Wow. I have a nice little toggle that would normally work, but it's still set up for trying to do dual boxing stuff. So let's bring back in manually. Alright, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in. For those of you who might be tuning in expecting to see Battletech Flashpoint, that will come back next week. I'm going to be doing an alternating schedule between Battletech Flashpoint and Space Engineers Relaxing Survival, because I really do feel the need to play once in a while a little bit of Space Engineers where everything in the universe is not out to kill me, including the game itself. Because you can do some pretty damn amazing stuff when the game is actually working properly. And on tonight's docket, I want to finish off this connection point here, the transition point between the hangar and the garage here. It definitely needs to be finished off. Obviously, I need to do something about the state of the garage, because this is not a very secure garage at this point. Anyone and their brother can just waltz right in, which is not really so much of a garage. It is now just kind of an open-air carport. I still also need to finish up the roof, too, I'm remembering, because I don't have windows on all of these. So I got that, and then at some point, I want to head back up to orbit, because if I go take a look over here at Space Base 1, you might recall that we kind of left it in a... Whoa, slow down, game. A little more control over... No, don't completely stop the camera. Spectator camera, incredibly annoying yet useful piece of equipment. We've got this little guy up here, and it's okay for the time being. It's got enough power to keep it going. I really could use a probably another battery up here for the solar panel to just recharge. For a bare bones setup, it'll work, and I can even respawn up there if I have to. If everything goes wrong on the ground, I can always respawn up here and drop on some hydrogen tanks back down to the ground to find out what's going on. But yeah, reactor, absolutely need a reactor up here. Actually, I do have the reactor there. Never mind. So I have uranium up there, it's working, but I do need to start expanding this base, and it has to be something that's going to be able to defend itself. Right now, anyone with half a mind could walk up in orbit and just kind of shove it right over, which is not very appealing, because obviously I've spent some time on it, a little bit of time. It's not much of a station either, but we need to start thinking about building that out and transporting a bit more of my architecture and everything up there for certain. So lots of things that we need to do, but primarily back down here on Earth, we need to do something about this, and this is going to be the tricky one to do. The neat thing is because of the way that I cored this out, I've got room to play with around my stairwell here, which, as you recall, drops down. And if we borrow the Minecraft methodology of taking the stairs, we can go bada bing bada boom and get down a lot quicker. So this is all good. I'm happy with how this is looking right now. I'm still happy with how it's looking, even though it is kind of wonky. There are a couple suggestions of, well, why don't you put a hangar door in here that fits? I don't want that. That's kind of a neat little thing to have here, is this door that just beautifully molds itself, practically, because of the way it clips through the blocks there, into a ramp. It's something different than doing a normal half-block ramp, so I'm definitely keeping that. I mean, that's a personal design choice, and when I publish the world eventually, I will you certainly have the option to change that yourself if you want. Cargo area. What am I going to do with you? You have a bit of a transition point here. You need to build it out a little bit so you can't see through the crack here on the outside. It is the downside of not having the edges on the corner, is you can see through the various aspects of the cargo containers there are just a tad. So you need to kind of improve that and I guess kind of maybe duplicate that entrance over here where it goes into the garage or something, but definitely need to do something about this. So, where am I with? I've got hydrogen, I've got O2, not that I really need O2. Let's just... Actually, don't even have anything to build with on me. No, of course I don't. And I'm also down a hydrogen bottle, too. That's okay, we can fix that. So, how is everybody doing tonight? Hopefully you guys are having a good time. Izzy, are you... Did I even put Izzy online? Yes, I did. Okay, good. It's nice to have an Izzy available again. We did try to make some use of Izzy online for Uncooperative on Saturday, and yeah. Izzy's definitely got issues. A little bit of a delay there, but not too bad. Yeah, God knows, I absolutely love the whole idea of having inventory manager, because let's be honest, the built-in inventory management sucks. It's not geared up at all to kind of give you any real assistance aside from here's a bunch of places you can put stuff. We won't let you do automatic sorting or anything like that because, well, that would be hard work. Case in point, and then you get to using an inventory manager and you can't actually sort anything because now Keen's got that broken. For those of you who did catch the Uncooperative on Saturday, the break in that is because there's a setting in Izzy, which I need to go in and also make sure I don't have on my world, just to be on the safe side. We need to make sure that we go in and have... It's buried in here too, unfortunately. There's a setting... Well, let's also... I'm going to turn off the auto sort on assembler queue, because that's kind of annoying when you go and you queue up something and then Izzy says, no, I'm going to queue this up and redo all the order and knock out your stuff. This should, I believe, let me keep stuff of my own in the flow. I hope. Special containers we don't use. What we are looking for, where are you? Not uranium, not fill offline reactors, not that. Internal item sorting. Enable internal sorting needs to be false. Now, I don't know if this means if I wind up, say, have like 6 different stashes of, like if I were to go in here and sort out and break this up, for instance. If Izzy will clean that up, and it doesn't look like she will now that I've got auto sort off, so it does add some aspects to inventory management that you will still have to do. You'll have to, like if you're shift clicking into inventory and it's just adding it as a new item or a new stack of something, you still will have to deal with that, but at least that will prevent the problem where you have something sorted into inventory and you can't actually pick it up. Because Izzy decided to pick it up, move it elsewhere, and sort it, and now the game is suddenly steadfastly refusing to admit that you even have such a thing. Which, unfortunately, we had hit on Saturday, so... also, unfortunately, there's just no way we can keep Izzy going, because she's just being an outright pain, and unfortunately, I believe Tim's not much of a better spot right now. I'm sure it's using kind of the same programming logic behind the scenes. Actually... I guess I might as well mirror that down there. Yeah, that sucks feeling under the weather. Hopefully you do feel better soon, Steven. Never fun to be sick, especially this time of year, because inevitably something is going on that you want to be participating in and you're not 100%. Bit of that potentially going around, not in the traditional sick method, but we're leaving that one outside the realm of things that I discuss in Relaxed Survival. Suffice it to say, things are being dealt with, and That is the best I can hope for at this point. Let's see. Your ceiling comes back down here. I have to redo the back edge of this to match up, or just let this kind of be the overhang out the back, honestly. Kind of a little hard to do this with the sun down, but also doesn't help that I never really... Yeah, that just builds into there and goes up. I have to figure out how I'm cutting this off. That is a tricky predicament. It's kind of like the same problem I have with roofs any game. I'm never really good with building roofs for some reason. It's like my huge weak spot. Actually, that's probably gonna... Crap. That's right. You are gonna screw that up if I do that. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Okay. I take it back, Bob. I didn't want that top block. That's gonna have to be... Actually... I can kind of use this just to get a little bit of a transition set up here. There's no front to the hangar, really. I mean, it just ends at the edge. Nothing really kind of comes across, so... I am thinking maybe just carry this pattern out across the back. I want to put something in. I don't want to just build a straight up wall, because that is going to be pretty darn boring. Straight up wall is gonna just lead to lots of repetitive textures, and I mean, say what I will about the keen armor texture, at least when you're using a straight up block it's not that bad, but when you start doing some fancier shapes, things get a little ugly. I can also repeat this pattern on this side as well. I'll have to dig out some of the back wall here to do it, though. Let's see. The ironic thing is now on Saturdays, I'm kind of back to... I'm actually kind of glad this is going to be falling back to... well, actually, realistically, I'm kind of actually glad we're kind of hitting the... sort of the natural end of the cavern here, or the underground building here. The only thing we're really going to have left to build is going to be this piece. Because if you're kind of a little bit eagle-eyed and watching what I was doing on the stream in my POV on Saturday, I already kind of found myself going back to this kind of shape again, and I need to shake myself off that. I want it to be something different, and I mean, when you look at the other underground place that I've been working on, which I don't actually have... Can I toggle you off? That's the other underground base that I've been working on. I haven't actually done anything in there lately, and I've actually got to go back and see what the room lights are going to be like in that, because they're going to light things up a little better, but it's going to be a bit trickier because the light's going to hit the bottom of the runway there a little more tighter. It's going to be making it a lot more brighter when it shows up, so... Still have to go back and play around with that a little bit, but for the time being, we've got this one to worry about, and yeah. Still have this to finish off. Once this is done, that will really be the end of the base, so... Getting back to this should actually be pretty straightforward. What I'll probably just do is mirror the cargo containers onto the other side of this. Do a little bit of greebling in the back or on the side, just so that way when you're looking through some of the gaps down here, you don't necessarily see everything. Like, for instance, probably just... this is going to be tricky without that cleared away, unfortunately. May have to go in here and do a bit of mining behind the stone containers. Yeah, I am, because I'm seeing stone there. I don't like that. I don't mind seeing the pipe, because it's structural elements that are underneath that, but I don't know if I really want to see the rock. I want to see something different behind there. And of course something here too. Actually, that's not too bad for the entrance. It does need some more lighting though, so we're gonna borrow One of these lovely room lights. It's gonna go up in there. Oh, there we go. Right off the bat, that's a... It's an interesting challenge. On one hand, I like that it's lighting up that back wall well, and the white light is kind of helping to recast that light, even though SE doesn't really do that. It looks much brighter back there because of it. Granted, it's also because it's shining on the ground here, which that... I may have found the first... Well, I shouldn't say I may have found. This was the same problem we had on Unco-op, where the light does actually travel through blocks. This is most definitely an Omni-Light, and it does not cast shadow anywhere. Which is a good thing when you can build around that. Not so much when you can't. And that's going to be the big challenge of building up the front here. I'm going to need something that will look okay. Let's say I keep that as a wall. It's going to have to be something that can potentially... this is really going to be weird. I can relocate the light up to here. That will keep it from hitting the back wall as much, but it's going to put a little extra emphasis on that. But I should also keep in mind, I'm using currently default lights on that. Let's bump you down to where we normally go. So that's the funny thing about lights in Space Engineers, is you can do some pretty nice lighting, but you've got to be really annoyingly specific. And in this case, yeah, where does all of this fit in? This is all light that's being cast by the Omni-Light, because I've got the intensity down so it doesn't look quite as bad. But now there's no real reason to have the lighting here. Especially because when I seal this off, we might find... Well, actually, here's a great example. The light over here on the tube there, that's still very much the Omni-Light, even though you can't really tell. Let's see if I can... Might be able to see a little better on this, because usually the lights... Yeah, it's wonky because of the way this is. Normally when you're in Space Engineers, if you can't see a shadow of yourself, you can always pop into spectator camera and get it. Because, yeah, that wing surface, for example, is being lit from underneath, and that is definitely not any of the lights down here, unfortunately. That's going to be tricky. Because if I move the light out to here, it's going to be lighting up more going up, which I'm okay with. There's not typically anything over the base like that is. I mean, here's a real prime example. That is lit like it's daylight. Or pretty darn close to it. But you can see the light angle is coming up from underneath it, and it's not on top. So that's why the top is so dark, but the bottoms are way too bright. So I need to actually figure out where I'm going to park that thing, too. So many things I still need to take care of, and I keep letting it get me distracted from this. That upper back wall... I mean, I could lower the range. That's the other thing. You're absolutely right, Strith. The trick with that is then you start having to play around with the intensity a bit more. So if I go into this guy, and it's so nice not to have to try to hunt down these lights. What I need to do is bring the radius down to something that's closer to the default for it. But you're going to see what's going to happen is, as I do that, I've lost the lighting down here. And you have to remember, these lights are going in to try to reduce the number of lights I'm putting in the scene overall. So the idea is I could come back here and consider getting rid of these lights. I mean, because obviously they're very bright right now, but actually I'm thinking about kind of keeping those and using them as... switching them out for a more yellowed look, actually. I mean, I do have a lot of tweaks I'd still want to do to the lighting in here. pure white is not necessarily the best lighting to go with. The upside is because I've reduced the range, now you can see I'm not hitting outside quite as bad. This is kind of hidden by the back of a garage, and I could just build the roof over it to cover it. But I need to cover down here. I could lower the light, but that kind of does away with the great usefulness that I've got up here with these two, where they're on the ceiling. And they're bright enough to light down there. And again, you can see the difference between this light, which is lighting down to the floor level, and this light, which is not. All the light I'm getting down here is from that being there. In fact, let's actually pull you back a little bit. Would you like to... Come on. There we go. There. That should help shed some more light on the situation, pun intended. But you can see right there, because I've got the range on that light turned down, I'm not getting as much light there. So, what I'm thinking is we move it away from the back wall. Because that will let us get away with a larger range on it. Did I make these white, or... Is that white? Yeah, that's a white color. Let's also keep our consistency here on our painting, so to speak. And... let's see. Well, that's gonna have to go there. That's the only cross brace that's close enough. So, default light setting. See, now I'm getting the light down to the ground here. Which actually, if it is spreading that far... Yeah, this hangar is almost the perfect size for what I've got set up for these lights, ironically enough. Because it's not going to be bleeding through the edges because it's a spherical light. Let's make sure I match up my settings here. 33 and 0.5 on that. Keen, if you are watching, please, please find a way to hide a control panel on your lights. I know there are mods that do it. We really shouldn't have to depend on that. Especially because the one that I know of doesn't really seem to work all that well. Okay, so there we go. Not quite... You have to remember, this one's set to a higher radius to cover the front ramp. And it's a nice smooth light as we go up here. A little dark there as we transition, but then it gets dark there. At the same time, we're reasonably okay on the back hill. Let me go ahead and actually just put a flat back on this at this point here. I'm not going to leave it like that on the inside. I just want to see... Oh, really? I'm out of armor plates. Outrageous. And hey, Frosty. How's it going? So the other thing, speaking of Mr. Frosty there, member of the PvP Red Team, which, segueing into that topic, we had the final episode of PvPvP Season 1. Well, really, it kind of is the finale of PvP when you get down to it. There's enough changing, it's hard to really say that Season 2 is really going to be PvPvP, because right off the bat, it's not. There's only 2 teams next season, so it's not really necessarily going to be PvPvP. It's something similar, but I can't go into too much detail about it because we've got a lot that we're still on the cusp of working through. But that is coming up, so if you guys have not watched, we had the final episode, which was about as good of a fight as we could get out of the Space Engineer server, unfortunately. We brought the server to its absolute knees twice. So unfortunately, while we definitely had a good time, I mean, this is like a 2.5-hour fight to the point where the game was even running at like 0.2, 0.3 sim speed. And it's the first time that I've ever seen the sim speed that bad and not really heard anyone complaining about it because we're having that much of a good time on it. And definitely give it a watch if you haven't already, because there's some pretty interesting stuff going on, and I mean, it's definitely a good, entertaining fight. We all had fun, and yeah, we didn't exactly fight it out to find out who the winner was. And honestly, you could probably argue about 6 different ways of coming up with who was the winner. And you're going to find, I think, everyone kind of, in the end, breaks even one way or the other. It was a... I mean, I'm trying to say this in as neutral way as possible, too. So don't think this is just me trying to say, oh, well, I'm saying we would have won because, well, yeah, of course, you're red team's captain. You naturally would say that you've won. No, we very easily could have gone in and done a lot worse. We could have done better. We could have done a heck of a lot worse. I mean, when you... How are you not done yet? Am I actually out? Wow. I've run myself out of iron plate. Oh, boy. Izzy, we need to have a chat here. What's going on? What do you got on hand? Steel plate, none. 3,000 queued up, none generating. Thruster components. Why are you trying to make thruster components? Stop making thruster components. I don't need any thruster components. You can get rid of those. And I really got to turn build vision off at this point. It's becoming more of a hassle than it's worth, unfortunately, with the way it's working. Yeah, steel plate, look at that. It is running out of it. I know you got the capabilities to make this, my friend. Are we genuinely out? Saw a bit of iron flashing through there. It's 155k. What? This might be more of a sign that I need to get some more assemblers online, if anything. Yeah, there's 257 in the system, 425. Where did I leave off on that? I mean, I know I've got these guys out here, and I think that's about it. I think I said at one point I was gonna start moving some work inside. Yeah, that's why, because the way I built this, these grates are on the bottom side of the block surface here, so I can't speed boost these guys. That is not helping. They've only got one module on the bottom each there. Might be something that is going to be used to line the walls of the cavern. But for the time being, it'll work. I just have to keep in mind I am hitting my limit there. Good to know that I still have 155,000 steel, though. We're running out of that anytime soon. Yeah, don't have to worry about mining it all yet, Strith. I'm still working off the supplies from that downed delivery ship. And this is kind of what I was afraid of here. It's a flush mount to the wall at this point. The block is in the voxel. But yeah, we're still getting lighting effects off that light. I didn't want to have to bring this all the way back into the ground, but I think I'm gonna have to. It's just, I'm not gonna have any real easy way to disguise the lighting at this point here. Just gonna go ahead and save some of my iron blocks here. Iron blocks? Wow, what am I playing? Minecraft all again all of a sudden? See, I think we'll do is just... This is not gonna have a... I'm not gonna do anything like the... brain is just shutting down here. I'm not gonna do anything like the skylights on the front. This is just gonna be a straight up... Again, not too thrilled with that, but if I've got to give up on that versus the lighting, I'm gonna give up on the practicality standpoint, which is what I really kind of consider this. I really like the idea of it looking like it's a standalone structure, not like it's going back into the hill, but needs are as they must in this case, and in this case, Keen doesn't really have a good lighting solution to kind of take care of this. I could go with the spotlight there, that would give me my shadows, but then I'm just going to be dealing with nothing but light nightmare as I start to finish up the base here, because there's definitely going to be sporadic lights going on in various places. I'm going to definitely try to ease off on them as much as I can, but still kind of plan ahead and try not to. One in there. Yep, you're on the edge enough that I need to... There. Let's see if that looks any better. There we go. That took care of the problem, and I know it's going to suck because you guys can't really see it on stream, but it's dark back there now, so... Or maybe... No, I can see a little bit of light peeking through here. You guys won't be able to see it on stream because of YouTube's compression algorithms, but there is a little bit of light leaking out there. But I can live with a little bit. So now, the question is... Now that we've got that, can I tweak this ever so slightly to increase the range a bit? So I'm going to try to see if I can get nice even light at the bottom of the hangar. That's what I was trying to say when I got myself all sorts of distracted and going around in circles. So yeah, getting back to going around in circles, PvP. Definitely give that a watch on Oasis' channel if you have not. That was a very entertaining fight. And yeah, I already took out the spotlight turret strith. That was actually up here, and I yanked that out last stream that we were on this over here with. That's been replaced with one of these guys in the rock just to light the stairwell better. And I'm kind of realizing that's going to be a problem because that's going to continue to light up the rock face around here. So trick number 2 to working around this problem is actually going to be deploying some lights on the outside to make it look like it's lit up, but it's not. To explain some of the light going around the area here. And yeah, you can see by turning up that spotlight, now I'm getting back in here, backscatter. So that light is going straight through that wall. So I will have to be happy with a little bit of darkness at the entrance, which I can live with. I mean, especially once I've got the, you know, I've got the... I don't know what I'm going to call this thing, because at this point it's life on, its life is not all that great until I get some wings back on it as far as longevity, and I don't even have anything on board, really. I'm not worrying too much about mining at this point either. But once that's in here, the lights that are on board actually do a fair job of lighting this area up. So worry about that later. We'll also get a little bit of light back when I carry... Yeah, I'm missing some lights there. Actually, that's actually a good point. That's what it looks like with the light up there. That's what it looks like without the light up there. So it does wash the color out a little bit. Between that and I guess I want to see what's going to go up here too. Alright guys, what am I putting up here? It's a garage. This is well outside the area. Well, it's not a bad idea, Chris, but... oh, and hey Lucas, by the way. Before I forget, I could put the living area over the garage, but the problem is I've got the cargoes right behind it. And this is going to be occupied pretty shortly by having the ceiling back here to that area. And I have to also extend the cargo area too, so... I don't want to extend it down underneath the catwalk because it's pretty nicely lit down there at the moment. So what I really kind of need is an over-the-top catwalk, and I kind of like that better. It's going to be inefficient from a standpoint of tubes, but I really kind of want to run the tubes across the ceiling down to this side and do it for every cargo area instead of just one. The other alternative I was thinking about was crossing them over from here and just going straight across, but then you lose the access to the cargo system manually if you ever have to. So there is that. The spot for the living quarters probably is going to be over here. And the reason why I haven't kicked this bit off yet is because the entrance to that is going to be on this side. Because I'm definitely going to have to do away with quite a bit of rock over here. Which probably means then the assemblers, the bank of internal assemblers that are going to be over here are going to be kind of in this area. So this will be refining assemblers. We'll keep the ones outside just because that really does add some character to it. But yeah, I want to throw some more on this base so it is very much a... It's an active outpost, it's doing lots of stuff, and the only other thing I could think of is, as crazy as it is, I really would like to build a welding wall into the ceiling of the hangar here. And that's going to be very tricky, but that is definitely a project all on its own. This is why I'm not worried about getting up to orbit and operating out there anytime too quickly, because well, I've got plenty of projects on the ground I can get involved in and really find myself doing a million one things. Supposed to be limited with only one available up. Yeah, that is a problem, but it looks too good over in that area, so... You know, it's the nice thing about relaxed survival is I'm not necessarily playing this for 100% efficiency on everything. All must be perfectly good. I must have everything oriented perfectly. It's not. It's going to be a... It's very much a survival level build, and it's not going to be perfect. It is going to have its oddball mannerisms. It's kind of what you get when you... Well, like, for example, SimCity 4, when I was playing that a couple weeks ago, that was very much a... Get rid of that one. Just go grind that one down so I have the parts. When I do SimCity 4, I'm very much all about natural building, which, if you're not familiar with the technique, what you're doing when you're doing, like, a natural evolution of your city is... You're not building it up to be this massive megapolis right from the start. Because where's the fun in that? You plunge in and everything gets perfectly designed for the use that you've got for it. Which is really not what real life is all about. You don't sit there... Well, I take it back. There are very rare circumstances in the real world where you would plan something out by, you know, literally planning out in advance. I mean, you can say something like Washington, D.C. It wasn't planned out to be a megapolis, but the streets were figured out and all that stuff was laid out in advance. There's a highway, I forget where it's at, but they built the highway to be like 8 lanes wide because what they did is they said, even though we're only going to have 1 lane of traffic, we're going to design this thing in advance so that way we don't possibly have to worry about expanding it in the future. All the land's been taken up, it's all there, it's down, we don't have to do anything about it. So, stuff like that, I kind of get into with natural building more than anything else. That is that wall piece there. So we can continue that across. Interior plates. Outrageous. That reminds me, the other thing I've also got to do is get the, I do have the mod on here for doing ore separation off of gravel. So all that gravel that I've got tucked away in the container out there, yeah, that will have some use for me. And then you, my friend, what piece of wall are you? I know you're turned sideways. You look like that one. Am I right, or am I right? Oh, yeah. Yep, rotated around to line up properly, so... Not that side. Other way. There you go, game. Nope. 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 We'll find the right direction eventually here. Because, you know, then you change your cursor slightly and that rotation direction changes. Not salty, not salty. We're nice and relaxed here. There's no urgency to any of the stuff we're doing. Not about ready to have a big ol' hive ship drop down on us. Speaking of which, Lucas, please do not do anything with the hacker drone in atmosphere. I have a really cool idea on uncooperative. I'd like to be able to pull it off for at least a couple weeks. Let's see. No, that's right. That's a maintenance tunnel. It's not the tube per se. No, I don't want the plus adapter. Where? Sometimes these things are really hard to find the right block for, you know? This isn't necessarily going to go anywhere and do anything. I'm just continuing to look from further inside here. Just so that way I've got a nice common setup there. Probably just going to terminate over here at this wall. I can close it off with a maintenance adapter so that way we're not seeing the ugly, ugly stuff. I could also link that over into here. I mean, that was an alternative access point for mining ships. Tell you what, we'll carry you out. Let's see if we can... just bring it over the... oh, that's actually... it's actually pretty darn nice. So we carried that across the ceiling from this one. That's the sorter for the gravel on that end, into there. Which is actually pretty convenient. It's a shame that you can't have... actually, here's one for the Mod Arthur on this one. It would be pretty neat if one of these, if you could take a collector and shape it like this, so that way you could have a dropper up here dropping down into a collector and drop it right into the maintenance tunnel, essentially. But have it, like, picked up at the maintenance tunnel. That would be pretty cool. Why would you need a welder wall when you have a bob that would be effectively decorative? Because there are some things that I'm actually not thrilled with Bob about. And printing blueprints is actually one of them. Hang on a second, I cough here. I don't have my mute button ready to go. Okay, sorry about that, folks. Blueprints and Bob. It's just that when I do something like a welder wall, you can stop it halfway through. You can say, oh, wait, there's something in this design I need to tweak. And you can say, okay, I'll build it and I'll control it up to a certain point. And then deal with it. With Bob, you don't really have that option. Like, I mean, like, for instance, would be a good well, the Cossack's a great example, actually. Because I've got different versions of this thing now, including one that's designed purely to, well, it's designed to not use any shield gens. I had to strip out all the shield gens on it, but I needed to fill the spot with something. Well, okay, if I print a Cossack, I have to suffer through it trying to print everything, putting demand on the Bobs because it can't build half the stuff, like the shield generators don't exist on uncooperative. We don't have the parts for them. And then tearing everything back apart to go in, and while you're trying to tear it apart, all of the Bobs in the base are trying to put it back together. Whereas if you turn off the option on the Bobs to not print the blueprint, which I'm actually going to do right now, honestly. I actually don't want these guys to print blueprints, at least not in the base. So we're just going to say that, and we're actually going to turn and help others too, because that'll help out quite a bit. Now I don't have to worry about projected blocks welding up. And it also means, the nice thing about having that setting in place, I can also now use blueprints in a decorative manner. And if you've been looking at the mod list, you probably know that if I remember right, I've actually got something in here that can make use of projected blocks. I just have to try to remember what the heck it was, because now I don't remember what it was. Vaguely remember putting it into the pack. I can't remember what the mod name was, but it uses basically, it's, you know, like for a projection, essentially. So it's a decorative projection, but if it's using a blueprint, well, you don't know if it's going to try to get built. You never know. Or it might be screwing around with stuff. It's in there somewhere. It's one of those things of, okay, eventually when I get to the point where I'm really going all out in the greeble, I'll wind up using it. Do I want this to link? Yeah, I just, I kind of feel like I want a welder wall for that, you know? For a ship that's on the go, a ship that's in combat and potentially taking damage, absolutely. Yeah, Bob Blueprint, help me keep this thing up. But base level, eh. If I really felt I needed it, like I know I've got a ship that I can absolutely work with, yeah, I would turn it on for that, but I would turn it off for anything else. Especially because there's also advantages. I could take a husk of a ship and customize it. So, going back to the whole PvP thing, my understanding is Green Team was doing basically the same ship over and over again. It would be the same ship, and then eventually they got to the point where they were willing to support customizations to it. So every team, once they had the ship established and the design there, they were customizing them to, you know, the pilot's preferred need. Even though it, like, wasn't really their ship and everything. And keep in mind, this is what I'm saying about this stuff is more or less what Wasted has been explaining over the course of the series in the post-game chat. So there were, you know, we were keeping all the team captains were kind of keeping each other updated to what was going on in between, you know, in the various episodes, just because that was part of the way that we could actually accommodate some of the weird things that we were like, okay, well, we never thought of having to deal with that. Well, I guess now we got to figure out that. Like, for instance, you know, there was quite a bit of back and forth about the Stonebreaker and what to do about that thing, because like, okay, well, Green's got these ships and it's not causing a problem, but it's causing an issue because, you know, Red has gone over the top on it and everything. Kind of see what this looks like. Since I had the part still there, it's actually not too bad. I had to put a block up there to block off some of the light, so let's... I guess I'm kind of in the same sort of build state as I am in the mental state right now, just rambling along. We cut that like so. Just trying to think about what to do with the ceiling here as I'm going through. That block doesn't have to be there. The problem I've got here is I need to keep this green on the outside because of the light block that's causing, or you know, making it blend into the building. I would kind of rather do a dark gray there, but I think I'm just gonna have to stick with that. What do you, go green across the entire top along this stretch. So that's why I also can't swap out those blocks for like an interior block or anything. Losing a little bit of contact with the wall on the side here too. She's not a perfect mineshaft. I think I've kind of learned at this point that while Pam is a great thing and not a bad idea to consider running on a multiplayer server that doesn't go down, you know, it's up and running 24/7. Single player, you're probably still better drilling yourself. Or even like multiplayer with a small handful of people that's taken down when it's not in use type thing. It's still a pretty damn cool script. Don't get me wrong, I mean, that was something we very easily could have leveraged on Uncooperative on Saturday. But I think it just wouldn't have been... I mean, it would have been nice to see a thing mining out, but at the same time, I was able to do a lot more kind of real-time adjustments sitting back and watching how I was drilling based off of the ship attitude and everything. What it really needs is... What I would really need to use it effectively is the a gravity aligner script, so that way I know I'm drilling flat every time. But then you can't... You can do a gravity alignment script to keep things flat, but then how do you keep it moving in a lateral line within bounds of a grid like this? That's the next tricky problem. That one I haven't quite figured out a good solution for yet. Short of eyeballing it, which is that's what I was doing on Saturday. Because apparently the Cossack doesn't make a bad drill ship when you're right-click drilling. But yeah, that the Cossack is unfortunately had its day and is going to get replaced. Kind of talked with the guys about what I want to try next, and I have a little bit of an idea already built. I've kind of been using to demo the platform. I don't know if that will be what I go with, or if it's going to be... Am I out of the parts for this thing too? Yeah, interior plates. I'm probably out. Wow. I am outpacing Izzy again. Where's your interior? Interior plate. I'm supposed to be keeping 1,000 queued up, and Izzy. I'm a little confused here, Izzy. You're telling me 24 plates exist. You're telling me that there's 97 you're queuing up, but that there's a... You know what? I'm not going to get into the argument because it's a... Wow, now I'm waiting? What the heck? Okay, I'm just trying to figure out some of Izzy's math here. Computers need 24 more for reaching 1,000. Yep. 426 plus 2,256 does not equal 3,000, though. And 403 plus 512 most definitely does not equal 1,000. Some very dodgy math going on here, and part of that I suspect is because behind the scenes Izzy is still... Because I did that change to the production where it's not allowed to sort the inventory, the assembling that's going on. Oh, there's the other problem. Let's unlock Assembler 2. I'm not doing any manual assembling right now, so there's really no need to keep it out. Let's see if that helps it out any. Yes, no, maybe, pass. Keen, you want to acknowledge the fact that I've got another assembler on here that the, you're... Huh. Okay. Maybe it'll kind of fix itself for the next build job. It's catching up, though. So we got plenty of storage now. I mean, this is not going to be an issue. Actually, it kind of looks pretty good with just the floor lights. The ceiling in here is dark enough that you can't really tell that it's a green. The only thing I'd be considering... Well, I do have to put a cap on the end wall here. I was thinking about putting in catwalks in here. The problem is I can't run the catwalks directly up against the cargo containers here. I can run them underneath the tube. And that'll give us kind of a little suspended drop ceiling. Another thing I could also do is... Alright, YoH, I'm going to give you one more shot here. Because I really do want to have... I think right off the bat you're outright refusing to do this, annoyingly enough. Build you. I can build you. No, you might actually let me get away with it. It's tricky placement, but I can get away with it. Give me a nice chunky texture up on the ceiling here. And that would be... How do I end this one? Am I right next to it, or... Yeah, I'm right next to it, so probably a similar thing here. I'll bring the wall out one more to end there. Could go through and then flip it like that to try to get the top side of it. I'm worried how that's gonna look. I mean, they're gonna definitely be offset because now these pieces aren't on the same plane. Yeah, here's what I was worried about. You got this gap here. There's no way to fill that gap. Space engineers... Keen, we could really use some compound blocks, and I just know at this point it's not in the cards anymore. There's no way you can tell me that they are working on that or potentially considering or doing anything with it. Because we are definitely in the end game. They are not going to be entertaining any massive changes at this point. Especially since I'm sure that one would probably require switching over to the next version of E-Rage, which they clearly aren't going to do. And they really should, so I think I'll just live with that for the time being. It doesn't look too bad. And like I said, it's dark enough up there, it doesn't look like rock, and that's the important thing. But there is a definite ceiling in there now. So we got that. We've got our... all there. And I am back to the out thing here. Build PAM module, a PAM miner with the flat side. Press its side against the wall of armor blocks in your base grid to line up. Then lock gyro so it doesn't turn while you're setting up the job. Unlock and start. It's not a bad approach. It's a little tricky with the with doing a small grid to a large block because they don't really always sit low. How am I out of suit power? I don't even have my whatchamacallit on right now. Don't even have my lights on. How am I burning through my suit power that fast? Now I'm down to a bottle of hydrogen anyways. And I did actually try that when I was drilling this out, the entrance here originally. I did have like the upper armor blocks kind of roughed out in place. They weren't built, but they were there at least. Let's just pop into here to do that. Because then I can also do other handy things, like deal with my H2 supplies. And refill. Problem solved. Okay. Do you think the SE would be better or worse if Keen decided to make it so that items like weapon ammo could explode when damaged, so that mid-combat ammo detonations could occur? That's the other thing else I need to fix. I need to take the catwalk in one here and run it across the ledge there. Exploding ammo inside of weapons. It would... Well, the problem is that something like that really depends. If you're talking like a real-world application where you've got exploding ammo in a confined space, then it makes sense that something might explode and take out a local, you know, the local containment area, basically. When you start talking about something in space, then things start getting particularly nasty. Because you're talking about in space, you've got nothing really constraining in a turret. For the sake of expediency, we'll say that the turret's in true zero-G and there's no atmosphere. So it's the only thing containing the explosion inside the turret is the structure of the turret itself. So when you take something like that, and, I mean, for the sake of expediency, let's say it was a refinery holding the ammo because it was an ammo dump. What's going to happen is the item that explodes is going to explode equally in all directions, and you start getting into weird kind of states of Keen would very quickly have to kind of sacrifice realism over modeling. In atmosphere, an explosion technically should be limited because of limited in size because air pressure. I mean, an explosion just cannot push out. You know, it's like when you see the shock wave from a bomb going off. You've got that amount of force that the bomb is dissipating on the air. Well, you don't get that in space. There's nothing to compress. It's vacuum. So when you have an explosion in space, like say this refinery were to just blow up, it would shatter in all directions, and it's going to be shrapnel just going everywhere. You talk about an explosion on the ground, you're going to have shrapnel, but then it's going to be landing in different areas, and you've got that with the temporary particle effects, and I don't know. Asking for a turret to blow up from the practical standpoint, it's... It's tricky. I mean, especially when you start talking about the types of ammo. So, you know, missile ammo, the other problem is it also depends on what the warhead is made out of, too. For a Gatling gun, if you're... and keeping in mind, I'm speaking completely not as an expert on this, but with a Gatling round, you're probably talking about just enough primer to fire the projectile. And how many... If you're talking like, you know, dragging Battletech into this, you're talking about, okay, Battletech ammo explosion is how many rounds are left times the potential damage. So, in Battletech, you assume that all the ammo is going off with as much force as it possibly can. The problem is, with that, it leads to some pretty unrealistic scenarios. Like, for instance, in Battletech, when you hit a ton of machine gun armor, or ammo, machine gun armor, you know, machine guns are basically armor in that game anyways, crit holder, or crit dumps. The problem with doing ammo damage there is, since it's allocated in 1 tonnage allocations, you're hitting potentially 200 rounds of machine gun ammo. Well, this is why in Tabletop we have the joke that when you go into battle with anything armed with machine guns, you basically just tape the triggers for the machine guns down. Because it doesn't matter, the weapons don't build up heat, and you're never going to run out of ammo anyways. And the reason why you do that is because if you take a critical hit to an ammunition slot in Battletech, the ammo goes up. And when you hit machine gun ammo, you're talking about the better part of, at the very least, 100 rounds times 2 points of damage each. It's 200 rounds, 200 points of damage, all to the location that the ammo is stored in. Let me put this in perspective. An AC-20, in comparison, the heaviest hitting weapon in the game, at least under the level 1 rules, the early tech era rules, is 20 points of damage. So when you hit a ammo slot with machine gun ammo, you do 10 times the damage of a single AC-20 shot. Which basically means that anything in Battletech you hit that has machine gun ammo and you hit the ammo, there's nothing left of the mech. Damage transition rules are not... Yeah, the thing is scrap. So, when you start saying applying something like that to space engineers, I get a little worried. Because that's, at that point, you don't survive that thing going off. That much ammo... And then you get into the weird state of, okay, how are you calculating the damage? And, well, what if it's a weapon that has ammo but it wouldn't explode? Like, say, a laser weapon. Well, they haven't added laser weapons into Space Engineers. There's only ballistic weaponry, essentially. So, well, ballistic and missile weaponry. So, you can't... I really doubt that they would build into the API a method to allow ammo to explode without actually causing damage. I could be wrong. But, yeah, it doesn't really lend much confidence to saying, yeah, it really should be something they should do. Would it be interesting to see it as a mod? Potentially. I could certainly see that. Like, if a weapon gets below... You know, like half of its damage, you know, it's past the, if it's something that's past well past the functional and hack standpoints, that it, potentially will get explosive hit again, maybe, but, yeah, I don't know, you'd have to talk to a modder to see if that would even be possible. I mean, because at that point, the inventory of the gun still exists, but it's inaccessible, so can the mod still be able to access it and say, okay, there's XYZ left, and be able to calculate the damage value? I mean, you could also adjust the damage value, too. You could make it so that it's... You could also make it say that it just blows up the turret and that's it, and there's no further damage, but realistically, it's going to do more damage than that. But yes, Strith, you're absolutely right. It's... In Battletech, if you take a hit to if you take a crit to ammo, on machine gun ammo, yeah, the mech is gone. unless you're playing what was the level 2 rules, which is newer technology stuff, then you do have features like case, which is basically your mech basically gets armor panels that are designed to blow off of a location in case the ammo gets crit there. So that way it vents all the explosion safely away from the rest of the mech. You still lose the location. So if you take a crit hit to your right torso, blow the ammo there, and it blows up everything, you know, it basically blows out the entire right torso, your arm goes flying off, but you're still alive. Your mech is still good, the center torso is still there. Unless you start talking more newer tech, and then things get really complicated down that path. That's a rabbit hole I can't go into in all that great a detail in one stream. That'd be more if I was doing some more tabletop BattleTech streams. But yeah, it's entirely possible to the point where one of the house rules for salvage in the BattleTech campaigns I've run is if you take crit hit to... I don't stop with damage in the game, in the tabletop game. When you apply ammo explosion damage, it transfers. So if it's ammo in the right arm, it takes out the right arm, then it transfers to any remaining points, transfer to the right torso. Any remaining points of that transfer to the center torso. And once the center torso is gone in tabletop, the mech is gone. There's nothing there. It's considered wasted. I kind of tweak that rule a little bit in my campaigns, and what I do is I then continue damage out through the rest of the mech. So I will say, okay, yeah, you just lost everything clear through the center torso, but what's left for the rest of the salvage? Because realistically, if you blow the right arm off and you blow the center torso off, the remaining torso location, it's still there to potentially take damage, but because of the way BattleTech rules work, if you blow out a location, the associated limb will drop off too, and that's intact. So if I blow up my right arm with an ammo explosion and it transfers through to the center, then technically it should be able to also transfer into the left torso. And if I destroy the left torso with ammo explosion damage, the arm can get flung off. And the same could also be said with the legs too at that point. The legs could still be blown off on the ground. So I kind of take the damage transfer a little further. I mean, keeping in mind this is like, you know, post-action stuff. It's stuff that I apply in the campaign after when I'm in salvage mode, basically. So it's not exactly something that is a typical rule, and that's also because I go ridiculously overboard with managing campaigns, to the point where prior to the existence of good old I can't think of the name of the software now, and I don't have it installed to show you guys. I do it. No, that was on the other computer because I did that BattleTech stream before I lost all the previous OS stuff. There's dang it, I can't think of the name. It's not Mech HQ. That's what I'm thinking of. Mech HQ makes it a lot easier to keep track of stuff like supplies and everything. On my end, before that, I had a massive Excel spreadsheet that was my unit's entire inventory, and I would keep track of all sorts of stuff. So it'd be like, okay, well, you've taken out a tank. Okay, well, most game masters in BattleTech that I know of would not bother with tracking vehicle salvage. I kind of did. And that was because we got to a point where I started letting my players actually have it expanded out from an initial lance, and as the company grew, they grew out to become, you know, the initial lance became the lance leaders, and then they eventually grew into company commanders. And they could, you know, they could have their own characters, you know, little mini NPCs underneath them and everything, and flesh them out and give them character sheets and everything, which is pretty cool. If you haven't, it's a lot of extra. A little bit, well, not a lot of extra work, a little bit of extra work to do it, but it really is kind of cool, and it gives your characters a way to progress in the game. So that way, okay, well, you've gotten to this point where, alright, you've got a really good mech and everything. Well, now, let's throw something different at your character here. Can your character handle in-character command, essentially? We're going to say, okay, now you've proven you can do this. What if we send you off on... It got to the point where I had a full regiment of this one of the mercenary company that I was doing the campaign with, and the players could actually send off company, you know, at the company level, their various 3 companies into different contracts, or they could opt to pull them on a big contract. Anyways, yeah, I am getting horribly distracted there and caught up in that and ignoring you guys. Ammo can detonate already in Space Engineers. However, if the container is destroyed, it destroys the inventory. Well, that's why I'm saying you'd have to do it as something like where when you reach a certain critical point on the damage, you know, you're at 20, 30%, that, okay, there's enough damage here that there's a chance the ammo could explode. But at the same time, let's also keep in mind that, for instance, Battletech, you have the heat scale, and you can blow up your ammo by running your mech too hot. And, well, Space Engineers doesn't really have heat management, and for good reason, because when you start talking about heat management, this nice little simple, wherever I parked it, up here, this thing, once you start talking heat, this would not be acceptable. I would need to have radiators for radiating the heat out of the design in space. There's no heat shield on this thing. And yeah, I know there are mods to do that, and oh dear god, I don't even want to get into that kind of level of craziness with Space Engineers, especially because I really don't have... honestly, I don't think the game engine could handle it. If you were to make it so that heat was a enableable thing, that it existed in the game, I suspect the game would just kind of turn around and say, aha, yep, we're done. It would try, and it would, I mean, you could probably get it working on single player, perhaps? Well, actually, no. I mean, we have seen it in stream. I know that was on something that Shaq was playing around with at one point, and it kind of worked, but kind of didn't. Some of it was a little on the wonky side, like, oh yeah, it's taking damage, and just individual blocks crumpling, and I'm trying to imagine if that had been around in the PvP fight, imagine what that would have been like. Oh, hang on, guys. We've shot quite a bit of weaponry off here and been moving around. We all need to stop fighting for about 4 hours to dump all of our heat. Ooh, that'd be bad. It would be very bad. Gonna mirror around the decking. This is not the right. It doesn't match down here because that's the actual surface of that, which continues out that way. So I'm probably gonna do a little bit of a platform here. Maybe not much of one, but I will at least mirror that look on this side. Symmetry not always being something you want to do, but hey, why not? That's right, I put a custom corner in on that end. The corners, they must match. It's no good otherwise. Yeah, lag would, at that point, if Keen were having to calculate heat for everything, that would be it. That's where you draw the line and say, okay, that's something that they would have to consider for Space Invaders 2. That's the wrong block, I did not want that one. But yeah, let's get what we've got working first, please, Keen. And it's one of those things that, I mean, as much as I say that, and as much as I'm poking fun at them, the fact of the matter is we did have a massive 25 versus 20, well, not 25 versus 25, 25 person fight going on for over 2 hours. If you look at where the game was a year ago, there is no way it could have handled that. It would have just utterly... It wouldn't have handled it on dedicated. It wouldn't have handled it in the client-based multiplayer either. It just would have up and vomited all over itself. That's right. I put that there so I could put the hangar door on it. We'll keep that same design there. So we'll bring the catwalk around on the side. We'll have hangar doors over here that we can open and close. Or maybe I'll just make this a... This could just be a window. Like a big picture window out the side. But yeah, I am just rambling on tonight, and definitely doing the whole stream of consciousness thing, because my brain is just jumping around, and between building and discussion, getting back to the ammo exploding, missile ammo, hell yeah. I mean, let's be honest, that really, talking about a massive anti-ship warhead in most cases usually, there's absolutely really very little reason that that should not explode. Unless, like I said, you've got something built into the system to safely vent the explosion. But here's the problem. If you start talking about missile warheads exploding, oh boy. You're going to have a lot of people very unhappy with you very quickly. Because when you think about the damage that one missile does, that's one thing. You start talking about what a cluster of missiles could do, or missile warheads could do. Think about your favorite design being hit and rocked by a massive 3 missile hit simultaneously. Yeah, it's not a pretty thought, is it? Well, for some of you, it might be a pretty thought. Yeah, I'm not gonna try to put words in your mouth or anything, but let's see. We got that. It still needs something more at the back here. I like how I've got the recessed area. I think that works. I'm not too worried about that little bit of voxel being visible there. But it does need something more. And as much as I like the landing lights, they aren't really working out quite as well as I thought. This is a sectan light. What would this look like? Just to give it something in that area that's giving a little bit of accent lighting. Don't tell me you're out of construction components now too, game. It's actually not too bad. Looks a little more like a reflective strip than a light, but gives me a little bit of extra detail at the end, brings out a little bit of the green color. The other thing I could do would also be to paint the armor blocks here a different color. But I don't think I really need that at this point. The other thing I can think of would be blaster block. That's the sideways slant. We don't want the sideways slant. I don't think we want the sideways slant. Remember that one. What did that one look like? Oh, right, that's a true, proper corner block. Which... Ooh, hello. Oh, I'm liking this. Okay. This is... I'm gonna put something in the middle there, don't worry. I just want to see what that... Oh, I like. Alright. Blast doors are not really so much useful for anything, but they've got a little bit of a brand new use now. The slope in... No. Give me the slope inset. I think that should align properly. Yep, perfect. And the only other change I'm going to make here is... I'm going to swap out for my dark gray color. Yes, yep, I'm seeing this. This is... I am definitely feeling that. What do you guys think? Grab the view from the cockpit. The cockpit floor? Yeah, this is the cockpit floor here. It's a very big, roomy cockpit. It'd be interesting. The missiles hot in the tubes could go off like warhead blocks if the launcher took an unlucky hit. Well, that's the problem, is there's no way to separate what's in the warhead tubes, per se, versus what's in the actual storage. Because when you look at a missile turret, you're seeing 6 different rockets that could theoretically be firing. But at the same time, if all these are ready to fire, then we would technically in-game be allowed to fire potentially a 6 missile salvo simultaneously, which doesn't exist. And then the less said about the rocket launcher at that point, the better. I mean, good lord. You're talking about a honeycomb of a 3x3x3x3x3. Yep, that's not very fun to consider the amount of damage that would do going off. And I mean, even just like, we've got the reloadable rocket launcher, which is scary enough, but then where's my single use? Why am I drawing a complete blank on that one? Because I don't design the stupid thing to make sense where it actually shows up in the list here, unfortunately. That's the problem. Is the afterthought, well, or the afterthought or the predecessor weapon, one of the two when you think about it. I guess it anyways. Actually, that is a good question. Oh, that's right. No, the rocket launcher scales down automatically when you switch between the grids. Because, you know, when you look at that, that makes sense when you look at that. Oh, it's going to be replaced with a 4 wide, no, not on the smaller grid. I think it's looking pretty good. We can fill in... Actually, this is going to be tricky because this side is set up in that way. I've got a bob kind of sitting there, which is right about where the connector is, so I can kind of work with that. I could also just rip this out, honestly. Because it's the only thing I don't also have in the hangar is a way to unload ships inside the hangar. I didn't put it in the maintenance hangar because it's just not big enough. But anything I do for this on the outside is going to be visible from the outside here. Because the hillside and the platform work on that side of it. Yep, maybe what I'll do on this side is continue out the deck here, but put a weapon emplacement of some sort. Because that would be a pretty decent spot right around here. If I wanted to place one here. It's pretty good defensive fire across that entire stretch of the lake bed. I don't really need a AAA gun, but I could still put one in just because it would look kind of on the interesting side. Should just get rid of that then. We will still cap the outside here, but I'm going to switch the color on that. My little industrial tower going to go white there just because it matches the trim I've got elsewhere. Way to test something, don't be alarmed if something strange happens. Okay, that works. Okay. No, actually, we don't want this order. We want... We just had that plus symbol on here. If you're wondering why I don't swap between my toolbars all that often, the game has a tendency to decide randomly to stop doing that. Actually hit it the other day when I was trying to do some work, and it's like, nope, you can't swap between your toolbars anymore. Then you're like, what? Excuse me? Would you like to try that again, Keen? Then you wind up just having to do all of your control 1 through 9 to change everything. It's just more of a pain than it really should be. I want to... As far as Bob goes, he needs to be off this block. Pointing down. I don't need anything pointing down out of this. I'm trying to figure out just how many sides I need on this thing. So I don't need anything down. I don't really need anything out either, so I guess... 4-sided? Yeah, that will be the one we want to work with. And let's just get rid of that. give ourselves a lovely Bob. Which reminds me, I owe Mr. Space a copy of my Bob config files, because what you're going to see is when I place this one down, it's going to be automatically configured once it finishes building. So I go into that brand new Bob. You can see he already has, he's not on, because I've left that the off state by default. He's already in fly mode. Grind if weld gets stuck. I've already got paint it pink in here. I've already got the... I don't have the priorities in place yet. I left it on furthest first by default, but I think I'm going to change that to be nearest first. The only thing I don't need is that, and push components immediately. It's kind of a very generic setup on it, so I only have a minimum of stuff to do, especially configuring the sound volume. I've defaulted to 10% on that. So, we have a Bob. So I got coverage, more coverage on this side of the base, and I'm trying to build on a small ship. I'm just trying to reset your build selection. I think let's bring the anti-aircraft turret out. Do I have an adapter I can use on that? It'd have to be a flush adapter of some sort, which I don't think exists. No, curved maintenance adapter tube. Never mind, I take it back. I can do it. We have the technology. Even if I'm trying to place that the wrong way around, I believe. Yep. Is it the right way that I want? No. There we go. So we've got that, and... oh, the ever-fun game of trying to figure out what I want to put for a turret on that, because I haven't given myself that many turret options in the game, honestly. For a very specific reason, because I want to try to avoid going flat out in the same sort of turrets that I have elsewhere. Not doing the spotlight turret. Those are small vehicle turrets. I want to go with the Sea Whiz turret, actually. Because, realistically, that's kind of what would be in that... oh. There's a bug with that build state. Holy crap. Your new turret is now hovering 0.5 meters above the ground. Have fun. I have no idea if the Sea Whiz turrets work for this variety or not. I can't even remember what mod pack that is, honestly, right now. I know it is there, and it is what I have to work with. At the very least, if whatever was going after my shipment of paint decides to show up on the ground, I now know I'm reasonably safe. And it gives me an excuse to finish this off properly into the cliffside. Do need to figure out bringing around the girders on it, but that's not going to be too hard. I should just make this a slightly sharper angle. Really, I could just go for kind of generico supporto number 1-0. Which is flip the shape around so it looks, it's still square, but is oriented completely differently. So now it looks like the turret has a little bit of support under it, like that. I know basically the sun is more or less just an extension of the same sort of lighting that the Omnilight gives, but please forgive me. I have to get past this point in the day. Give me some actual sunlight and not this... thank you. Not this backlit from the voxels BS that it likes to do. I want to see what I'm building, not what you think is underneath everything that's lit up. Speaking of lit up, I do need to get... thank you. I like to type. in the box with the things. Look at him. Yep, that's not right. Let's get that door oriented properly before reflexively hitting click. Smaller door on this side, not too worried about it again, just because that gives me this little spot here as a transition between the 2 points. And actually, carry that out. Tell you what, we'll wrap it around that way. Just so that way it breaks up the detail there a little bit. And I need to cover walls. That's what I'm missing out front. Guess if you're gonna have an elevated position, you might as well do something to protect it or dress it up. Fancy balcony, let's put with the only thing that I've got for fancy balcony on this thing. And protect this side because I care about my employees. Aside from the fact that we can't place anything. On one hand, I want to be able to place something here. On the other hand, I know I would rather not see something like this texture clipping going on constantly. Or worse, the gun deciding to grind out against that texture. Definitely needs a light. Nothing too in-depth. Not like a big light. What did I do for the outside wall in front? I think I put lights on top, didn't I? Yeah, I worked them into the overhang there. We do the same thing over here. So I have to remember, this side doesn't have really much of any light on it, so... do I have ammo for it? Who the heck knows? I honestly don't know, and you know what? Because it's relaxed survival, I'm not that worried about it. On a nice peaceful planet, not dealing with any dags, and honestly, dags in a anti-aircraft gun, that would be kind of overkill. Actually, legitimately, I do not know what type of ammo that sucker takes. I don't even know if I have the ammo. Oh, that's right. I gotta fix that railing in the way. See-whiz. The great thing is I don't have 1,000,001 pieces of ammo to choose from here. I'm gonna assume it's drum ammo. Naval ammunition, the rotary cannons and naval rotary anti-air tends to be drum ammo, I suspect. So I could always just what are we waiting for? Magnesium powder. Yeah, it looks like it's being picked up directly. So that should be... Let's actually fix this while I'm in here. I'd rather not be tripping all over that thing. Can fix the catwalk while I'm doing all of this, right? Let's see, I'm gonna need... Tired of going through the tab inventory on catwalks at this point. Just much easier to just go in and grab exactly what I need right now. I only need 2 parts, and we can build the rest easily enough. Turn. There we go.
Energy low.
How is my energy low again? Did I miss something in the update? Have they just, at this point, given up on doing any sort of realistic batteries on the suits or anything? Because that just seems like it's ridiculously underpowered, my suit, all of a sudden. Feels like I just blow through a charge in no time. There we go. So that gives me the access to the nose of the miner. Gives me that. It's not too bad. Recharge in here. sure I got this thing back on alignment because it was drifting a bit when I came out. Oh, yeah. Perfect. That should be right on. I love it when a plan comes together. In that case, that was a pretty darn good plan. Yeah, I really do need to refit this thing, actually. Strip down the higher end stuff, give it a bit more of a lower profile. Will certainly help with its handling characteristics out there, but for the time being, that is done. I'm happy with that. Maybe not so much the rock back there, but I don't think I did anything about it on this side. I did do something about it on this side. Shoot. Alright, I'll have to go back at some point and mine out behind it potentially. The nice thing is that actually fits pretty darn good here. I mean, really the only thing I need at this point is a way to get down to the ground from up there. Because I did have the stairwell that used to be back in here. That's why I had it actually bump out. But why is... Did you change the rotation on my block when I placed it? Or no, I take it back. Nope, that's not Keen's fault. That is my fault. Human error. It's reflex down. I'll almost blame them for everything. Nope, that's not the right shape either. It's got a stupid post in the back. Nope, 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 nope. Get rid of it. Away with you. Let's get the right one. No posts on either side, just the handrail on the one side. Probably running at 1.0 sim in the game calculating things properly. The game doesn't calculate things properly. It's crazy talk. Why would it ever calculate anything properly? Let's see. I can rip up to that because that was all for building the turret, or the center wall at the bottom there. That was this one and that one. Bottom and top. Also need to fix the floor here. That is not the right block on the corner. Because otherwise, how do I get my nice little... There's one element you probably might have spotted that I was putting in place over on Uncooperative Survival, and that's the floor. I'm kind of carrying over the same blast door edge of the interior plate, or interior block setup that I've been doing here. Carrying that overlook, which should look pretty nice. Yeah, those lights are getting a little bright in here, but I need those out on the road. Corners are a little dark, but at least it's dark on both sides about the same. Could always find a way to get some accent lights in here and there, but no, that's okay for now. This side is using this block, but flipped in the other direction. So go ahead and... Yeah, that is going to look wonky when I do that. I ran an armor block on the outside of that. So yeah, you are the outside of the next block out. Oof. Yeah, this is going to be hard to hide on this side. Thin wall, rotate. I'm not going to bother with the nav light on this side because I don't think I really need it. Did I do a corner block here, though? Yep, actually I did. Great thing about these walls is they actually do have somewhere in here. Not showing up for wall, but it is in the pack. I should know it because I'm looking at it. Have the interior inside corner. So when you look for wall, of course, it doesn't show up. Let's see, this is rotated in that direction. Paint those two, even though you can't tell it's being painted. And there we go. So I've got something around the, maybe you can look straight down that way. At least I've got something around the bob emitter head there. Did I even actually do the same thing over here, or did I actually go full block? Ah, I went full block on that one. Full block, armor behind, and that was it. Okay, one more block rotation, or swap here. Hey, Fred, do you think that uncooperative survival would be more amusing if the occasional exploding cyberhound spawned in addition to majestic Martian space dag? Okay, that is a tough question. The problem is that, hang on, I have to deal with a certain someone here. Unwanted, thank you, reported. You're gonna come into my channel and do that sort of thing, you can go somewhere else and do it. Thank you very much. The trick with the exploding dags. Oh god. Aside from the fact that it would probably get a lot more kills on Macor, which, you know, it's a good thing and a bad thing. Not trying to get him killed repeatedly, but come on, guys, give him a little bit of a break. The problem I have with it is when the Cyberhounds were first done, their whole thing was, okay, I'm a Cyberhound, I am running up to a structure as close as I can get to you, and because Keen couldn't be bothered to properly pathfind, they decided to just make the Cyber Dag blow up when it hit a wall. Which is not all that fun when you get packs of 5 or 6 of them spawning at once, as they typically do in the game, with the settings that we've got. So it would make it very difficult to keep the challenge up with the full-on Dag assault, while keeping the Cyberhounds spawning in low enough numbers to keep them from being a problem. But also, it's just outright griefing. I mean, let's be honest here. You wind up... Well, actually, let's kind of talk this one through at a higher level. For instance, I'm in a survival world, and I could have had everything under the planet spawn in. And when you look at something like the Armageddon stream, that's what you're actually getting, is everything that you could possibly spawn in the game is all going to be spawning maximum values and everything, which is great, but when you look at the problems we had getting off the ground and the amount of death, if you're trying to go for something somewhat realistic, it does become a little bit of a problem, because death doesn't really mean anything in Space Engineers. It means, at most, I mean, if I died on the spot, say another delivery ship came out of the heavens and crashed down on my head and wiped out the entire base here, which I would rather not see, of course, it would put me back up in orbit. I'd get another respawn ship, or I'd spawn at the space station, and all would be fine. But you know that's not where I wanted to place that block. I've got a tiny little gap there. I want to fill it. Just realizing the side here was not constructed straight back through either yet. I'm taking care of that real quick. The fact that it's griefing, and the other problem is when you're just starting off, trying to put up with that sort of challenge, holy crap. I mean, it definitely is a challenge when you've got something like that hitting from day one, and way back in the day when those things first came out, and I still have the footage for around here somewhere, is you could not get started in Space Engineers at all on the planet if those things were installed. Or not installed. They were not installed. They were on by default, and you couldn't turn them off. And you, like, for instance, I tried to do a equivalent of a group survival startup. It was a solo survival, and the whole idea was, okay, my ship is, you know, the generic, I've just crashed on the planet, oh no, my ship is destroyed, what the heck do I do? And the Cyberhounds pretty much had me out of said ship inside of about 5-10 minutes, because it was just, I couldn't even record, honestly, because every 2 minutes it was a boom, and then the ship would shake a little bit, and then boom, and then the ship would shake a little bit again. And, you know, it doesn't take long when you've got that kind of damage going on with your ship to not have much of a ship left. If you're trying to do a very hard-edged survival, it doesn't work. Especially when you're doing a single-player survival. For a, you know, group survival, like uncooperative survival is, it's a little more doable, but I think I'd feel a little bit... I don't know. Oh, great. Zombie gloves. Yay. I don't know. I could see it working. I could see it becoming a huge pain. The other problem also is, you have to remember, we've got modded planets on, but unfortunately, because of the way that Keen has done the game, modded planets do not, come on, grind. I think that was everything you could possibly give me, unless something just slipped through the ground, but... I don't know. I mean, the other fact of the matter is that at some point you just get to a point where there isn't much of a threat from the dags. The only thing you're really doing is just burning through magnesium. Because, you mean, even just firing at these guys with the hand rifles, throwing them off into the horizon, so... We could probably get away with it, but you also have to keep in mind we're primarily going underground into an underground hangar, so a Cyberhound really wouldn't be much of a threat to us at this point. From the standpoint of, we're going to have more than enough turrets up to deal with it. And it just means you're putting down 1 or 2 more turrets, and okay, now we got to try to scrounge up some magnesium, and magnesium, legitimately, is the only thing that's in short supply, except when you consider the fact it's multiplayer. So really, if we run out of magnesium, we just go out and kill ourselves enough, and we just respawn with more magnesium. Technically. There's ways to get around that, too. But, you know, there's, you know, 6 of one, half dozen another. If they were on, I probably wouldn't have a problem with it, but, I don't really miss them from those good old days. Especially considering that that's what drove me out of the game in the first place back then. Button panel. Just so I have something for these doors, which actually... Build Vision, would you like to help me out here? No, you're gonna... There we go, okay. Airtight hangar door 5 and 6. Let's get those grouped up. Oh, beautiful. They were the only ones that were even still there. Close you off. Platform doors. Don't show them in the terminal. Keen has been acting a little on the weird side with groups lately for me. As in, 1 minute I can name them, and the other minute, the other night, I was absolutely having no luck whatsoever getting the... getting a group name to save. It's just like the game would take and would act like it taked it, act like it saved it, chirp that it saved it, but then not show the group. And it just kept repeatedly doing that and repeatedly doing that until finally it got to the point where I finally figured out, well, okay, you save the group, you hear the chirp, okay, now you've got to get completely out of the terminal, go back in, and now you will be able to find your group. I could establish a group, and actually, let me even just see if this is the case right now. Let's try something. So I'm just going to group some yield modules because I don't really care about those. I'm going to save, and now in that case it did work. But what I've been seeing before is it would act like it was saving, and then I would go over here and type, and the group would not be there. I'd even get rid of the search, and the group would not be there. So there's definitely something weird going on in one of my worlds. Not this one, fortunately, but... Let's see how this looks as we go through. Plain wall, but I'm actually okay with that in this case. I'll work on this wall real quick. I didn't take care of this end. And it be showing. Probably tilt the angle up more. There we go. That should take care of that wall. Hey, Blackjack, how's it going? Think it'd be amusing if 1 out of every 100 spins spawned with an interior turret strapped to its back to shoot at people. Oh boy. Well, I mean, the Spids do need a little something more. But at the same time, they're also burrowing out from under the ground, leaving no tunnels or anything behind. I would actually rather see Keen do something along those lines where the Spids could actually generate tunnels. Because that would be pretty darn cool. So there would be a legitimate reason, potentially, to have it, let them spawn in an area and gather up underneath you. Like, say you wanted to dig down to an ore patch, but you didn't want to necessarily drill the whole way, or you wanted a way to do it that you could climb down it. That would kind of be cool, but... Interior turrets, That's a tough one. Well, I mean, for starters, the question is if the game could even support that. The problem is the game can't seem to support native shoot and aim characters is the problem. So, by shoot and aim, I mean that, say, like the zombie mod, the zombies don't spawn with weapons that they can use. The NPC stuff that I've seen so far doesn't really give you a character who can stop, aim, and shoot. And for the Spids to be a threat... I mean, really, it actually kind of works counter to what the Spids are. They're not all about stopping and shooting and picking off at range. They're about burrowing out from the nowhere. You know, to the point you're not expecting these guys to necessarily show up until they finally do, and then you're like, oh, right, there's Spids in this world. Oh, I'll just avoid any of these common situation type things. Yeah, it kind of goes counter to the whole idea of the Spids. That's the biggest problem. Because if a Spid comes up and has an interior turret and shoots you dead on the spot, that's not so much of a challenge. That's just being a dick. I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, we're, put together something that's a challenge to most players. It's another to say, yeah, we're just going to just have it do something that makes it impossible to... If you're caught one-on-one with them, you're doomed. But I also say that with the realization that there's no escalation in the enemies in Space Engineers. Everything exists in this game exists at a point where what you see from day one is what you have for the rest of the game. Now you compare this to something like Factorio, where you've got an enemy that evolves as you grow. So as you start adding more technology and ramping up your weapons, the enemy itself is kind of keeping pace with you, and in some cases is even exceeding your pace. So kind of keep that in mind as well. Looking for scaffolding. I'm going to bring some of that in because I left the gaps here for it, but I never actually installed it. And it makes the hangar look a little bit... the walls are too thin for it at this point. Needs this extra structural bracing along the side, really. Would that slow the server down because of voxel deformation? Well, that's the other thing to consider is, yeah. That would very much... having mining spiders would do that, but then, again, so did the cyberhounds, too. Not only from the voxel deformation, but just the amount of trash that the server then has to clean up, because every time they go off, parts of your base are blowing up. They're being rendered into scrap metal and debris blocks and all that fun stuff. So eventually you would get to a point where the server itself is going to just start healing over. I think. Honestly, I suspect that's what was really starting to get to us. Ooh, that's not working well, is it? A new challenge has appeared. I need to work the light into that setup there without moving the light, because the light's in a good spot. I'm kind of wondering if that's what actually did in the PvPvP server, was just the amount of deformation work that it was having to render for so many ships in such short range, and all the various bits and bobs that were falling off of it by that point. Yeah, I suspect there was definitely stuff that the game just could not keep up with anymore. It was doing its best, and I will give Keen, like I said earlier, I will give them full credit. They got the game to a point where it can support getting up to that point, with the caveat of having to make a lot of sacrifices. No planet, taking away a whole ton of your asteroids and everything. Just, it's... Oh, how are you... Oh, because you're welding up everything right now. Yep. I need to borrow a little bit of armor on you I can borrow. Anything I don't need? Yes, no. Come on, there's got to be an armor block I can live without here somewhere. Actually, did I leave any in the overhead ship here? Overhead. That's actually not a bad name for this thing. It's looming overhead like it's going to crash down to the ground any second now. Aha! Wait a minute, what? Sane or Izzy? Sane or Easy Inventory are apparently at odds with each other right now. Maybe it's because... I mean, I don't even have a sorter on the... Ah, right. There are indeed no steel plates on this thing, because this is no longer hooked up to the network there. Oops, I forgot I did that. Yeah, get a conveyor tube down there. Place that. Thank you, Bob. It's not the right color, but I'll live with it. Now I should be able to actually place. How am I hitting that key? Signals off. Signals normal display. G key, please. Thank you. No, I'm getting my keys on the right area of the keyboard, and yet the game is saying, no, you're not. Because Mr. Farrell is definitely not getting him the right side of the keyboard, apparently. Let's see. Gotta keep in mind that the AI, no matter how much they did or didn't work on it, is just a passing thought in addition because the player base was screaming for it. You say that, but I have to go back to Minor Wars. And Key's approach with Space Engineers was very much to raid the toolbox on Minor Wars. Basically, Minor Wars became the investment work that was put into Minor Wars basically became the seed for Space Engineers, just as much as the seed for Space Engineers, or Space Engineers became the seed for Medieval Engineers. So I have to kind of disagree that the AI is necessarily an afterthought. Maybe tuning up to the point where it was something more than just a shoot-'em-up AI. Yeah, absolutely. They have not thought everything out. I mean, the stuff that they have put in the game, like the SPIDs and the DAGs, are not something that can really actually do anything in a Minor Wars thing. But anything like an enemy ship that's just doing, okay, I get within range and I engage with all my weapons flat out. Yeah, that was definitely something that was present in Minor Wars, but let's also be clear, it's also not exactly a challenging AI when you get down to it. It's, are you within X range? Yes, shoot. Unlike, say, the work you put in on corruption, when you're looking at the AIs there, and you've got something that has behavior modeled into it. So you've got enemies that are going to show up and then try to run away, and you've got enemies that are going to go in and call in a strike on your position and everything. That's the spot where Keen really fell flat in their face, at least with the in-game stuff. But as far as the very basics of, okay, spid, pop out of the ground, shoot at me, you know, engage me to melee, and boom, done. Or the dag. The dag's weakness is the pathfinding. But, I mean, if they had decent pathfinding in the AI, they'd also have a decent testing tool, potentially, for the game to be able to automate a character going through a scene over and over again and actually get consistent simulation results from it. Which would make their little, whatchamacallit, the scene recording tool a little more accurate. But, again, relax survival. We're not here to bash Keen. We're here to enjoy the game as it is. Be thankful for the fact that we at least have it. And for tomorrow, we shall bash. Let's see, can I do... You're dark down. You're dark down. I want to get the rest of these windows in, finally. Every time I come along here, and it's like a bird looking at a window. And does the window exist? Yes, no. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'll fly through it, maybe I won't. The days of that are coming to an end. Because this is going to get the garage in a pretty decent spot. Ah, nice. Okay, that will finish up once we get the glass and everything in place. The extra bobs should have more than enough range to reach out here. Guys, I think we can cross the garage off the list of things to do now. And we've got the cargo access area in here all set. Like I said, I'm not going to worry about doing more lighting because the underpath lighting works out really nicely in here and sets itself well against the ceiling. We've got this area in here all set. We've got the assemblers and the the internal assemblers wall that's going to go in here. It's going to mix with the welding wall, and the other reason I want to do the welding wall, guys, is I want to do a little bit of a... We'll try to see if I can do a little bit of piston-y challenge. I generally don't get a chance to really mess around with them, short of tipping over vehicles, so it'd be nice to kind of see what we can do with it, but it does leave us with one last spot we need to work on here. Before I'll consider this base truly done, I do want to take a moment and... that's right, because you're gonna... There we go. These slow pan setup can be fun, but also very annoying. Now, you might also recall I do need to build some structure on the helipad out here too, so we're not in the very, very home stretch, but we're getting pretty close. The helipad needs to be put out here, and then the piece de resistance, as always, is the runway. Can I get a runway down in survival? And theoretically, the answer should be yes. But we're getting there. Garage doors, oh, hell no. No, there is, the game does not have my confidence for any sort of rotor-based door. Just, no. As far as the game goes, a rotor's the only way you can do it. Short of digging down into well, I take it back. If I had a very pinpoint precise way to drill into the ice and know how far down to drill it to get pistons down there and do a piston door setup that would push the door up, I barely might consider that. Just because I know doing that is going to be a pain, and the door is just going to wobble back and forth and look unrealistic. And the same thing with a rotor door. It's just you're gonna roll it down, and it's just gonna wibble wobble back and forth. Keen just doesn't really have my confidence in the rotor physics and the piston physics to pull that off. And I kind of like it being an open setup anyways, because I can go in here and I could use this to actually build a spaceship if I wanted to. I could build, and I'm actually planning to build, at some point I want to have a large grid ship take off from the surface. A very specific idea as to what that large grid is going to be too, but that one is almost certainly going to require me to do some mining to get the materials for. So we've got 2 spots left. We've got, well, okay, 3 spots. We've got the interior there on assembler duty. We've got the tower over here to work on, and we've got the support for the helipad. I'll leave the helipad and the runway for next time, because I'm not really worried about that all that much. Sectans thin window hangar doors are decent and don't take much room, but only 9 high max versions. Yeah, that's the... Thought I was over the edge of the platform there. Apparently I was not. That's okay. Bob's got my stuff. Bob, give me my stuff. Come on, Bob. It's not funny. Give me my stuff. The other convenient thing about this is handy place to sit and keep myself charged up while I pick up all my crap again. Tools. I don't even remember what the heck I had. So do that. We need to hang on to that stuff. Oh, I've got 6 drums of ammo stuck over here. The best part is when Bob picks up my bottles, he fills them up for me. I mean, seriously, that's actually pretty convenient. Yeah, Gatling gun or the whiz gun. It's gonna be. Can I have the turret, please? No, you're gonna be a pain in the butt. You're gonna make me find this thing in the full list. No, that's not what I'm looking for. What the heck is that turret even called? I know it's got to be in here somewhere. Now, heaven forbid Keen give us an alphabetical sort in this stupid screen. So I can actually find it. Oh, actually, what am I... Hang on, I know I can find it. There we go. That's right, CIWS. Because of the way the acronym gets spelled out, even though it's CWIS. Because it is CIWS for whiz. Yeah, 40 ammo, I guess, is the max you can carry in that thing. Okay, either way, I would have expected to have... Oh, Bob, are you actually doing that? I appreciate you doing that, Bob, but I really don't need to be constructing extra stuff I don't need. Where are we? Hand drill, 2 item, no. Hand drill item. There's another one in here. Where are you? Angle grinder 3. No. Really do not need 4 of those. Or any of them hanging around. That's the one problem, is when you take the last one in the inventory and then it shows up again, is he's all like, yeah, I can make some more of those. When you take them back out. Thank you, dampeners, for not being on. Alright. Yeah, we'll leave the hangar and everything, or the runway and all that for later. Guess we are turret, or not turret, hangar or control tower. I would love to dearly build this thing up into a genuinely proper control tower, but to do that it would realistically need to be a heck of a lot higher, like this high, and just the amount of stairs there, let alone trying to mess around with the elevator mod and hope that it gets up that high. Oh boy. Yeah, that's asking for some potential trouble there. we go. Draw as much of the armor as I can get, because then while I'm doing this, Izzy can work on building some fresh stuff. I'm just kind of thinking of what to do for the top platform here, and it's a little stereotypical, but kind of... I really see this as being an area where I can have like a broadcast, put the antennas and everything, because obviously I'm not running any right now, but I definitely do want to get some antennas up, if only to have some remote connectivity down to the planet and just... Well, actually, that is a good question. The only way I filled half of that on the COS. Okay. Here's a question, because I genuinely don't know the answer to this one, and hopefully if Mr. Lucas is still around in chat, he might be able to answer that. With the hacker drone, if the hacker drone shows up in system, he's only showing up in, as much as I hate to point this out, he only shows up in space encounters. He doesn't show up on the planet. At least he hasn't done that in uncooperative yet. Again, I might regret saying that because they probably will show up next week and start wreaking havoc on me for what I have in mind. But as far as a space encounter goes, obviously I would need to have the antenna set to be able to reach down to the planet. And if a hacker drone shows up, I can certainly try the script to protect everything down here. But if I remember right, that script turns off the antenna down here and doesn't necessarily turn it back on. I can't recall. And then the other thing is also the next problem with that is the if it's not 100% chance guaranteed that that detection script is going to work properly. I would love to use a laser antenna down to the surface, especially between, because it makes sense. I've got a stationary orbit up in, or a stationary base up in orbit here. Geostationary, not going anywhere. But at the same time, I'm a little on our edge with the corruption drones being in the universe here, that I could run into some problems. So the last thing I need is that hacker drone dialing back home down to base here and doing something that causes the base to blow up. And at the same time, it's not like I would expect the mod to necessarily know, oh hey, this is a, or even respect necessarily, that, oh, this is a planetary-based base, I'm going to give it a wide berth. So, interesting question on that extent. Let's see, that gets me to here. So I got a little bit of an armored well. And I want to grab the catwalk. Maybe the tricky part next. That in mind doesn't really work all that well. Let's actually get the next layer in. Switch over to... That's right, I split it out like so and so. Actually, it works out better than I thought. Never mind, I thought I was going to do some upside-down catwalk tricks, but this will actually work nicely. Leave that area open. This is going to extend back into that part of the mountain to anchor. And kind of going for a weird thing here. I don't know if this is actually going to work that well. I've never tried doing windows in this kind of configuration before. What I'm going to do is a single pane flat window. Back offsets the invert. That's not going to work because the catwalk wouldn't be able to go there, but this would. You're going to whine to me about girders? I don't want to hear about your girders. You're going to give me what I need to build, right? And we're going to build it. And it's going to be nice and happy. And I'm going to be nice and happy. Kind of avoiding use of some of the stuff I've got downstairs in the base for the custom windows. I want to do just like a... At least start off the proper side of this. Because I really could be using these the cube slip windows. There's some really good stuff in here that I could get away with. But, yeah... It doesn't really fit with the style I've got downstairs with all the regular windows in the garage there. Need a tilt. 2x3. 1x2, 1x2, 1x2. Where's the... Keen. It'd be nice if there was a better way of indicating... I wish I could think of one. A better way to indicate window slopes and sizes. You're the... nope, we don't want that because you're clear into there. Wrong window. Even though it looked right from when I was placing it, it's the wrong window. So very wrong. Paint. Thank you. Thought I was clicking there. I guess I wasn't. Sectans, windowed hangar doors are decent. Don't I've already read that one. Most realistic part of the game. 14, see what's gonna hit 80 rounds. They autofill at half. I saw that one. Okay. The I mean, it's not too bad. You actually don't want a turret holding quite that much, anyways. There we go. I just gotta tilt or invert. What? Keen, why do you do this? The problem with what I want to do is this part here, where the window edge exists in regards to other grids. What I want to do is have the window flush like this. This looks better, from my opinion. It looks better when it's flush like that. However, they have not made an inverted version of that slope, I believe. 1x2, 1x1 flat invert. I'm not doing a face. Yeah, this is only the 1x1, 1x2, and they only make it so that you can get the tint facing in one direction. Keen. That's okay. We'll live with it. It'll be fine. Everything will be just fine. Give us our console with chair. Which I don't have anything to grab. Also, I'm realizing I should probably have the ability to get to cargo up here. There's no way in the system I've got set up right now to actually grab cargo from down here up top. This is potentially a bit of a shortcoming. So I'm up in the control tower and all heck is breaking loose. You can bet I want to be able to get down into my cargo area. Let's see what we can do to accommodate that. Okay, good news is I'm back behind the wall here. So I believe I could just run tubing straight up. I'm also back in the detail section over here. That's not legit tubing. That's just there for effect. I want to bring that up. I guess just straight old tubing would do. I mean, I don't need anything hideously complex. It's gonna be a pain to do it because it's gotta go around 500,000 different places here. Go straight up as long as I can. What are you? Long conveyor tube? What mod did I get that added that? Don't get me wrong, I approve. I just don't remember adding it. It's also apparently not very tolerant of stuff in the way. But play around with that one. I don't remember getting that. It's always a fun, happy surprise when you dig into the mod play chest and find that, oh yeah, I did give myself something to actually help with these sorts of problems. Well, not problems, but... Oh, you're not gonna look that way. Nope. And you were over it. Keen, toggle, please. Protected stats for things that we are putting in our inventory so that nothing can overwrite the spot where they were previously stored would be extremely nice. I know it makes sense. I know it's something that another game has actually done. Factorio! And, yeah, it would just be nice. Oh, that's right, yeah, so it's that mod. Okay. That's okay, it's the one that added all of that, so now... so fewer things I have to worry about with this one. So the fact that now it's sticking out way out there. I'm gonna bring you up underneath there, because it'll... No, actually, it would kind of work as a bit of, Debating about running the cargo conveyor alongside the stairwell here. Which probably is not a bad idea. Just from a standpoint of I can put some effects in. Also, I'm going to do the evil thing here. I'm putting in a conveyor junction in 2 spots no less because I have a floor there and I don't want to have an ugly tube peeking around it all the time. So the game is just going to have to suffer and calculate for a little while here. Let's see, that's right. These are also providing some nice extra connectivity paths here without needing to have a conveyor port, I might add. A setup for that. Oh, that's even longer. Oof. Mr. Farrell's happy. Mr. Farrell has a super long conveyor. Oh! Farrell's happy. The Farrell is very happy with that one. Thank you. I don't think I think I'll go past. Yeah, I'll go past the platform. I'll try to do this long. Try the medium. Oh yeah. Mind you, in a combat situation, this would be. That's kind of the funny thing when you start looking at. Doing stuff like this, this would be completely unacceptable in PvP. One long piece that could be easily destroyed and knock out a huge chunk of your cargo system? Oh yeah, that's not gonna work. Not at all. And we're also gonna give you an independent Bob up here in the tower. Because the great thing about Bob is it means he's also going to act as my cargo access port up here. If he builds. Thank you. There we go. So now I have a semi-quick way to get to my building supplies down there. Kind of. Not really all that quick, but... At the very least, it's something that's going to help build up this area and give me a little bit of detail for underneath the tower there, too. Gotta enclose all of that too. That's gonna be interesting. Long tubes from the More Conveyors mod. There's a medium conveyor tube as well. Yep, and there they both are. That is pretty slick. And at the same time, I have to wonder how much... Think about something like a conveyor network, and we've been going on and on in PvP about how conveyor port blocks are a nuisance to all mankind. They lag down the game because it's having to continually calculate when cargo's transferring through the network. It has to constantly go through and calculate all of the potential paths. And ergo, you should never use the things because they lag out in sufficient quantity a multiplayer server pretty badly. Well, when you think about pathfinding, that only has to travel through to get all the way up here 2 blocks. just kind of food for thought. How many conveyor tubes could you get away with, or do away with, if you could have a conveyor block that was that long? And it's not having to calculate the potential damage to every single tube inside of that network, inside that stretch, if it was a 1 by 1 by 1 by 1 by 1 by 1. Interesting thought. I'd kind of like to, I wish there was a really good way to test that, honestly, and unfortunately there's not. Short of trying to get 20 people all together on a server at once and build the most insane, epic thing you can do. And I don't have a dedicated server to do that on either, so ideas for potentially later. Also, another idea I've got for later, I really want to revisit. You might remember in back when Waste was doing the Wasted Workshop series, we did the base that never landed. So the whole theory was you've got this massive base, and it's got everything you need on it, and it doesn't ever touch the ground. It just keeps flying in the air. You know, the thrusters are locked forward, basically. And the biggest problem we had, of course, was, well, unfortunately, the planet and the terrain don't really usually lend itself well to that. The other problem was it was almost impossible to actually land on the thing if you had a ship that needed to land, as I found out many times in testing on that. So it's kind of a wonky thing, but I think now that we've got relative damps, it should be a lot more doable. Can't really imagine that it'd be that much harder now. I mean, really, at that point, it just comes down to you need an autopilot that is capable of following the curvature of the terrain and also capable of not getting bogged down in... it has to be able to handle the curve of the terrain and also handle elevation changes better. Because the default AI just can't do that. But now that we've got relative damping from the standpoint of can I at least land on the thing, the situation there is now much improved. Just kind of doing this because I want to set the back of the room a little differently here. So we got that. We've got our... I wiped out the Colt command console when I started wiring things up because I couldn't build the Colt command console because it didn't have cargo up here. And then my brain started wandering. Welcome to Feral Easily Distracted Edition. Go. Console with chair. This looks a little weird that I'm doing this way. I have my reasons. To wrap that around, because as much as I love Colt's command console, it still needs to have... Putting them everywhere does not really work. Just makes it oversaturates the room, honestly. Let's see, we got the dark green. Let's switch to our dark gray. And what's that I was saying about just grab the piece I need for the catwalks? There we go. Should have access to a effect. Come here. You're... This is a really steep ramp compared to a barely inclined staircase. Feels kind of weird. Why did... Being built down on the ground, you annoying little... One slight misclick as you're going in a hurry, and you pay for it. Alright, RF777... 777. Good luck on those finals tomorrow. Hope you do well. way to... almost more to go with the stairs at that point than anything. I'd go with the 2 ramp, but the just not enough room to fit that in there properly. Come on, give me the flat. There you go. I'm not going for railings on those, because, let's face it, well, here's the question. Can I still... Yep. Perfect. Really don't need railings when you've got your build set up like that. It's the other reason I didn't want to go wall-to-wall with command consoles yet. Because, well, this gives me a nice good spot to terminate the catwalks up the front here. Yeah, it kind of looks a little wonky at that, but you don't really see that unless you're down on the bottom looking up, I suspect. And I have a little bit of a view out from the top now. Better not be putting me out the... Very funny, Keen. Can we fix this, please? There is a perfectly valid occupiable block behind me. You have no idea how tired I am of having this happen on the trade surplus, too. Over by where I've got the shipyard inventory controls at. Good thing I got hydrogen. It would suck if I didn't. Alright, enough of the out of normal character exploration there. Let's grab the windows and see what we can do here. Because what I'm kind of thinking is... Ooh. See if these could curve around. That would actually make a pretty cool way to have a top to this thing. Fortunately, we don't. Big window, one that does crash or not when I try to use it. Yeah, right. The problem there is that's a 2-block instead of a 3-block wide one, so... I can't tell... No, I've got these the wrong way around. That's going to be the... I need the invert. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Come here. Get rid of him. Go for that, and position these right, please. One there. One there. I think I can work around the fact that there's no curved windows for this pack with, come on. Actually, hang on. Clear out. I built them wrong again. Holy crap. I cannot brain today, apparently. Also, there's apparently a weird placement bug with that one. You saw that there. It wasn't letting me place it one direction. If I placed them the other direction, it would work. Pharaoh's brain is in scattershot mode. That's what's going on. I have completely gone scattershot with my axis today here in the brain. That's not a bad idea. It's sort of a personal catwalk outside the tower, underneath where that ledge is, so... in case the worst ever does happen, I could still get in and out. Okay, that's clear window from that side. That's opaque window from that side. Yes, thank you. Alright, let's grab Mr. Iron Horse here and... advanced double door, no. What do we got? That's for small grid. We can't use that. We're not gonna get anything help out of that one. That's the mod I was using. Conveyor cubes, nope. Gangway cube, nope. Do want to use that somewhere, but haven't really found a good spot for it yet. Round window wall. Should be not the right thickness wall. Arrgh. Darn you. Edge round cube might be. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. Holy crap! It's a rounded wall in Space Engineers. Look out! Chaos is about to ensue. Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. I should be able to find a door that fits that too. I know I can't use the round window glass. I know I can't use you. These are all broken on the Windows textures. Those don't fit properly. Force field door doesn't work. Engineering crew, captains, I guess is technically the bridge. Yeah, that placement preview really inspires confidence in this particular block. Oh boy. How's it? How? Oh my god. Dead Tech, what happened to your door? I guess that was door under construction, so it kind of makes sense that the they'd have a thing there, but the door preview model and the missing textures were really kind of throwing me there. Also, the door is apparently completely broken. Also, you've completely overwritten my dang welder again. Ah, that would be why it's not working. Dead Techium process. What? That was not required for that door that's down there. Okay, I like that. I didn't even know that Dead Tech did this with the build states on his doors. That's even more impressive, honestly. Alright, let's see what we can do here. Dead Techium. What do I need to produce a Dead Techium processor core? Things that I do not have. In fact, that's the problem. That's what's holding us up now. Silicon's completely out. Alright, well, I guess this is a little bit of a sojourn from doing this stuff to find some silicon. Let's hope this thing is up to the task at the moment. How much uranium did I leave on board this thing? More than enough. Okay, you're good. Power up. And it'll lift off. Where do I have silicon? Anywhere? Fueler. That's right, this thing has next to no upwards thrust, so it's just taking forever. Silicon uranium over there. Or no, it's silver uranium. Oh, nickel, silver. Oh, right. Inside my... I didn't even have to go this high. It's sitting right here in the mining trench. Oh, I forgot how ridiculous this thing steers. Yeah, I like that. The fact that the building state was used to give it its own little box, and it's... Aside from the fact the door was canted at some weird angle, that was pretty darn creative. I like that. Alright, so there's silicon down in... or silicon, depending on how you want to pronounce it. It is technically missing the E, so... the silicon should be some... right down here. Nope, that's nickel. Nickel over on that wall. I wouldn't have said that there's silicon if I hadn't... That's magnesium, that's nickel. Ah, it's over towards this end of the trench. Okay. Gotcha. So realistically, what we need to do is extend the trench out further. Do I still have the Bob over here online? Our little play set here. Tell me you got power. Actually, still parts. I gotta empty that out. Yeah, you got enough for what we need. Okay. I was always kind of wanting to come back over here and play around with this, because I would like to turn this into... This is the other place I'd love to consider building a ship, actually. Is in this area. Now, in order to do this, I need... Make sure we're set here. The ejector should already be on. Yep. Pull for the drills, and drop right down. Dare say this is a bit more efficient than, say, hang on. Are you checking out legit rock, or are you checking out... Say how they do the moss-colored rocks there. That looks like it should be stone going out. And not nickel. Because it's the same stupid color, almost, as nickel. Problem is I'm not getting down to the right area. So I don't think I'm picking up any silicon. Tell me what you got. Nothing. And yeah, I know this thing, to address some of the comments I've seen in the video, this is not the most efficient way to mill, or to mine here. The drill heads are way too close together. But at the same time, I'm that much more guaranteed I'm not going to have the drills slightly further apart and inadvertently pick the one spot in all the drills to have a tiny little voxel sneak through and absolutely ruin my day. Why don't I right-click? Because there's nickel down here. There is ore in this hill, and I certainly want to gather it. Plus, I don't have an ore detector on here, so I'm kind of blind drilling in a ways. You're acting like you're wedged there, but I know you're not. There's all that lovely nickel down there. I don't want to lose all that. That's still perfectly valuable minerals down here. Trick is, I'm just trying to figure out where the heck this silicon is. It looks like it's reading a lot deeper down there. Ow. 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 Quit hitting me. Stop hitting me. So you're off to the left. Straight down. Okay. See, now, not only that, but the other reason is because I've got my absolutely ludicrous, it's a lovely little arc that you gave that one from the drills. I've got my absolutely lovely disposal system over here. The one that's doing, my little, Plinko machine here. Where the rocks will, sometimes sort themselves out, and then, so I never finished up the ramp over here, did I? Let's fix that right now. Let me see if we can get a bit more rolling on that hill. Because this is all for my needlessly complex stone disposal mechanism. That is to say that I don't have to worry about the stone on board. The Bob over there at the mine is picking it up, disposing it outside of Bob range, where it can just roll down the hill, get stuck, and despawn. No, a little more complicated than I just don't want to have 20 million boulders rolling out across the hillside there. So that's what this is. I ejected out of the ship, and I don't really care about it at that point. It's gone. Alright, let's... I know you've got ore under here. This is the other reason I'm also not using using Pam to do the mining here, is it could potentially get stuck with all the stone dropping this way. I could very easily be dropping stone onto the deck of the miner here and actually be doing damage to the mining ship. Granted, it's got bobs on it, but I don't want to rely on those 100%. Should be deep enough. Where are you at? Is it Ghost Silicon? No, you're over that direction still a bit. Apparently, I'm only picking it up with 20-meter range on that? Wow, that sucks. Mr. Drill, I'm not a fan. 20 meters away and that... Oh. Or I could have just come straight over here. It's sitting right now in the open on the cliffside. Come here. Gobble some of you up. I guess I could do it the easy way. The other thing, Strith, is I'm here to relax. I'm not here to necessarily cheat my way through it. That's more interesting than building some hideously overly complex way of getting to the ore that's also capable of disposing all the useless crap that gets in the way on it. Pretty sure I'm also out of bob range here too, unfortunately. It's just this hillside is full of so much stuff. The magnesium that I'm going to need going forward for ammo and nickel, silicon. How much do I have on board right now? You see, I've already managed to damage one of the connectors pretty badly. 179, 721, 578. That's not a heck of a lot, but I also filled up 2 of the cargo containers. 2 more. Am I actually legit in the middle of this vein, or are you just playing around with me? Well, that to me looks like playing around with my brain. Where is that deposit? You say it's now it's... Keen, are you back to your old tricks with this again? What the heck? Traces that are there, traces that disappear. I think I've got another bit of mining here that's disappearing randomly on me. Or a bit of ore, disappearing ore. No way that that can be completely gone from here. I need to put an ore detector on this, really. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Why are you not stopping? Bitch, please. I lost a thruster. Forwards, backwards, left, right. None of them are damaged, are they? No, none of them are damaged, but you were just pitching around like crazy. Probably just flying off center. Okay. I'm gonna find that silicon. It's in this hill somewhere. I don't care if I have to rip this hill completely apart to the center of the earth to find it. It's there. And if it's here, I'm gonna find it. Because over my career, I've built a very impressive set of skills. Skills that can be quite difficult to achieve. Somewhere out here in the silicon, and if I find you, I will mine you. shit. There we go. I think I'm down at the level finally. Because that's looking a bit shinier. Hey! Silicon! Finally. I must have tapped like a tiny little edge of the vein going down the previous spot, because there wasn't much of it there. I got plenty of it now. Kinda. It's still conglomerating everything. I'm not filling the other cargo containers, though. You've got 6 of them on here. You're not filling up all of them. Huh. What's the deal with... Oh, because... because I've got so much stone. I need to... No, let's not grind that off in this cavern. Or do that. Thank you, Keen. I slightly brushed the edge. And you have seen fit now to completely destroy it. Even though that was the one that was even damaged in the first place. Come here, let's let you empty out over here. Uncle Bob can take care of that damaged connector. Except Uncle Bob is not going to do it because Uncle Bob is busy picking up all the stone, probably. He was technically idle, and you should have... Come on, you've got to have computers over here. I don't have computers over there. Alright, fine. That was... Well, that's the other reason that I killed one of the Bobs on here. I killed it, man! Yeah, overweight from the stone's not a problem with this thing. I've got more than enough upwards thrust on this thing. She definitely is capable of handling this. Give me some of the stuff in here, please. Okay, that's a big ship, Bob. You gave me enough for the little ship. I must have turned off the ability for that Bob to actually construct things, actually, now that I think about it. Which makes the fact that I've taken away, I've left so many parts in here kind of hilarious. Let's find a cargo container I can get into that might still have some room. So if I'm having something that's going to be helping repair my ship, I should probably have the room for what's in it. All this? Oh, yeah, I fit it. Okay. There we go. That'll work better. What are we doing over here? They're very nice and consistent where they land, which is pretty nice. Now we're getting bunched up over here again. Come on, can you jostle this loose, please? I don't want to pick this... Don't make me pick this stuff up. I will drop this stone again. Yeah, it's getting held up there. I don't know if I like that. Are we actually heading down? Oh no, we are getting down to the lake again. We've overflowed the storage ravine here. It's the only useful purpose for these stupid washboard features here. And they're managing to roll down to the lake. A couple have escaped. Here's one now. So what we have here now is just a happy little rock coming down to join his brothers down here in the lake bed. Just so nice to be back together, isn't it? And be with one's friends and families, especially around this time of the year. There we go. I finally managed to channel the Bob Ross a little bit again there. Is that it? really it. Okay, well that's problem number one, is they're grounding out here. We don't have anything to get rid of it, so... or build up, so... eh. How do you not have anything left? And also, if you listen carefully, in the background, you'll also hear that Keen's rock removal sound is now stuck. Hey. Sound bugs. Next multiplayer, they bring back the sound bugs. What can you do? So what do we have on board? 64. Nickel, plenty of that. Nickel, plenty of that. Silicon. Trying to see if I have... Ooh, that's completely full. Nice. Not a lot of silicon, but I don't need a heck of a lot of it. I've got some stone stuck there and stone stuck there, and the one I can't do anything about. What do you need? Just computers? 6 of them. Got the back connector, and these are sorters. I actually probably don't want to connect that way. I want to connect over this way. I don't want to go back to the base with it in that state, because the second I get close enough for the base bobs to repair it, it's going to start dropping stone again. So we definitely don't want that. Let's just grab some computers and stick them on board. I know what to do. Enough to keep everything kind of together and intact over here, right? Build away, Bob. If you can. There you go. There's our stone coming back out again. Let's actually drop this over the ravine where it should be. Alright. Stone. Already out, so perfect. Back to base. Let's see, got rid of the dock down there. It used to be on the edge where the stone was. Got the inner dock, but I can't get to that at the moment. I don't think I left enough docking ports on... Ooh, actually, that's a bit of an idea. Game, if you would like to finish that one off. What I need to do is do a slight modification over here. I can take advantage of the fact... Where are you, you little bugger? Ha! Corner adapter. Needs interior plate, fine. Interior plate. Grab it. Grab it. Tube. And... view. Oh, come on, Keen. Just give me my steel plate. Oh, I love having compact adapters in here. Yeah, docking adapter to fit your mining ship to something? Bada bing, bada boom. Alright, so we have no stone that should be offloading. The silicon and magnesium should be offloading. May have to poke the bear a bit to do it. There we go. Did I get myself arc furnaces? No, I had to have. Chuck the nickel in there. Really? I have nothing else? Oh, right, because it started splitting out into the refinery, and I just completely annoyed it because now I've split it out across. No, actually, no. Not Pam. Izzy took care of that for me. Okay. You're in good shape. Disconnect. This is actually not a bad little compact adapter there for a docking setup, actually. At least a small ship one. Let's slow you down and turn you off. Definitely have to give you a more permanent home. Alright. To listen to that rock rumbling for the next hour, basically. That's gonna be fun. Should have nothing left in there. Good. And everything that's left for needing silicon should be building up here now. Should be building up here now. Alright, we're still missing the dead techium because the game does not know, or Izzy more accurately does not know, because I've never produced one of those before. Would you like to give me 10 of them so that way they stay on the inventory? Beautiful. I don't know why it's really got to do that with glass. It doesn't need to do that. If you're kind of confused, the whole idea is, I like the animated spinning lock on that. Oof. Dead Tech does good stuff. He does good stuff. Let's go ahead and get the other door in as well. I love that. You get the, aside from the fact that texture's messed up, that you get the door and you get the crate sitting outside of it. That's just hilarious. I like that. So, that, and I don't know if the... I'm kind of iffy on the one-way glass that's in there. Because that's what that is. It's one-way glass, so you can look out. Which is a good security feature for a bridge door, but you can't see in. I don't know if I quite buy that color. It's the only thing that looks kind of odd to me. But, let's see what I can do. I don't think... This stuff is getting placed on the interior, so that's definitely not going to work in this case. And I can't sling it underneath, but I'm okay with that, actually, because, I mean, we live in a game where we have a jetpack that... it works in atmosphere and technically really shouldn't, but I'm not going to tell Keen to fix that, because then they will, and then we're all going to be in a load of pain on planets. Need another wall piece. And not that kind of wall. What was I looking in before? The, there's a combination win. Not thick enough, apparently, for starters. And you overwrote my blasted, There you go. Wasted's got his stuff that he makes you think you don't spot till last minute. It's starting to turn into the, welder being overwritten for me. Okay, well, actually, there's, if you want to know where the Sea Whiz cannon came from, that's, the Oakham Industries stuff. I really do need to play around with those merge passages. I really can't wait to do that. It's so good. Nope, 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 nope. It's up the conveyor. Sloping window, that's not gonna work. Small blocks isn't. Catwalk's not gonna work. That's small ship catwalks for small grids, by the way, in case you're wondering why I'm not using that elsewhere. That would be why. Could go for... I think that's about the same thickness as the linear. No, but the linear had had a bunch of different thicknesses I could use. Now I'm remembering. Should be a selectable option. Linear part large, yep. too big, too thick. Not the right size. Just not oriented the right direction. So ideally, I'd like to have it like that. Edge. That's what I'm looking for. Edge. Small cube. Yeah. No, that's small grid. That's not gonna work. How the heck did I get the large grid variant then? Heavy. Inch cube. That should fit. Let me find that. That's better. Just gonna do a quick little nip of that. There we go. Make that glass block if you can't. No, I kind of want to have something that's both sides here, but not necessarily looking straight out. I mean, if you want the view straight out, that's what you're down here for, pretty much. Which is actually pretty good. You've got visibility across pretty much the entire lake over in this direction now. I'm pretty happy with that. So the only thing that's really kind of missing now is I need a roof on this. And I need to build an antenna into said roof where I can. I don't want to build the roof out of this. The next question, because there are lights I can use for this. Use these as runway lights before. And for what I have in mind for the roof, probably won't work too bad. Alright. Can you anchor on the part I want to? Nope. Ah, if I build it there, you will. Just have to build it in a very peculiar way. The other problem I'm also realizing I've got is there is no curved edge counterpart, I believe. Could be wrong. I would love dearly to be wrong. It's going to curved cables, but it's not going to look right there. I could also go back in and remove this wall and just go with a straight traditional block across the front. Just use curved armor for that. I've got interior curves on all of these things. Not the ones I'm thinking of. I know there is something I can use up here. I just can't find the thing. It was kind of like an outer edge to... Or I might even just be getting myself confused with Fallout at this point. The little curved concept hut things. Make the glass black if you can. Yeah, I mean, that's the other problem. It's like, okay, can't see through, but then can see through. And that already is actually the black, as black as that glass gets, because that's that glass I can see through pretty good. Aside from all the crap on the window. Thank you, frickin'. I should move the antennas up one more. Yeah, kind of disguise the turn there. But I know there's something in here. There is something somewhere in this game that will do a curved top block like that. It exists. It thinks there. I think, therefore, it must exist, right? So unfortunately, all these walls were all interior, straight up, straight downs. Reminds me, I got the, get this thing. Need to put this in somewhere. If I can't put it there where I would love to put it because it's catwalks are not the right way up. Oh, it's the problem with doing the catwalks. I can fix it so I could put these in, but then the catwalks would be upside down and they wouldn't line up with the stairs here. So that is why, if you're wondering, I haven't gone back and done anything about that. We can deal with that relatively easily. Great. Probably not going to place the table either now because of that, aren't you? Yep, you are. Okay. This is one of those things you may recognize from such update parody videos as the Space Engineers update parody videos. Dragging out some of the oldies but goodies here. It's the Sector Aegis Sector C3 table. This is neat because it gives you a holographic-like display without actually being a hologram. Rounded. There's a roof edge. I know there's going to be a roof edge. Some sort of rounded corner. Sorry, I also forgot to have the nav ball cam too. Actually, I think this is the one I wound up using, the simple table in the update parody. That was the C3 table there. I also could have added the asteroid research off to the side. But we don't have any asteroids around here, so it wouldn't really make much sense to be researching them from here. There's no asteroids at all in orbit. It's completely empty. Nope. Nope. Not there, and also not there. Well, shoot, because that's an LCD. It's an actual curved LCD. As screwy as that is to think about. Yep, I think we're gonna paint these guys pink and rebuild the antennas one further forward. Not their fault. They're just the closest thing I've got to even a remotely rounded block here. Let's go through and do this. Just to make those lights stick out a bit more. Bob? You want to give me a hand up here? Bob? Bob? I know you have grind on. I also know I have power. Huh. Well, that's a new one. Grind if weld gets stuck, so I should be grinding. 313, 100, 100. You built the blocks there in the first place, Bob. You should be able to... You're well within range, too. You should not be having problems. Are you off? On. Thank you. I don't know why that one turned off all of a sudden. Lucas, your hacker drone's already up in orbit here somewhere. You're starting to make me worried. Actually, legit. Let's, for legit reasons, I'm kind of curious what's running around up there at the moment. And the fact of the matter is, not really much of anything. Everything's static grid, so this is stuff that I've built. There's the pachinko machine. That's the camera count's little duck blind there. He's got a camera count, camera spot that he spawns in at. Pachinko, yep, and yep. Okay, so there's no, nothing out there for drones. Didn't see any announcements for a hacker drone coming in, but it does worry me a little bit. Oh, come on, Bob. What the game really needs is a blueprint placement mode. Where I can take a block and say, I would like to place this as a blueprint at this location and build blueprint in-game. Why can't the suit have that? So I should probably drop off my parts because everything that I'm carrying is stuff that Bob is going to have to create. Including the radio components if I got those. I do. Remember, I've got hydrogen that's going to run out soon. Alright. It's not great, but it will work. What control do you use to get to that screen? That is Alt F10, but that is only if you've enabled the admin tools on the system. That would also be the same thing that Mr. Space took away from me when I locked him in the infirmary the other day. So just do keep that in mind if you're thinking about playing around with those sorts of things. There are consequences to your actions. Always are. I could do catwalk, leave it open. I could do no LCD. I could do armor plate. Actually works out pretty well. Kind of covers the gap over the door. An unknown signal's been detected. Oh no. Showing right for that. Yeah, I know, game. You're gonna make me run out of my jetpack fuel. Actually works better than I thought. It's the same thickness as the as that particular piece in there. And where are you sending me, game? Must we have jaggy blocks? If we don't have jaggy blocks, then we don't have any of these problems with jaggy blocks sticking things and making things generally not happy for everyone. Let's see. Actually, I want you on the... Should be using the on-base O2 generator to fill up. Those are both off-grid. There we go. Okay, now that I've got a roof on here, now I really gotta start thinking about lighting. What do we got for light we can throw in here? Could bring back the sectan lights here, because they are fixed. It would kind of fit... I could actually leave the natural rock here. Maybe fix up that little bit of a light gap in the back, and either side of the table put the sectan lights there. Or I could even do something like this, 'cause I'm not going to have anything back in that area. It's got some underdeck lighting going on here. Could be interesting. Can't fit them elsewhere here, because unless I do the front end here. It's quicker for me to fix these this way. Now I know I can definitely take that piece and run that in there. Except now I've put it on a sub-menu that's somewhere, nowhere where I'm going to expect it. So I don't use the sub-menus that often. Also means that I now actually walk into something that stops me from spiraling around constantly. Could do. Build vision, would you like to give me... You're gonna say, nope, I'm not gonna show you that thing. Alright. I don't think they put a working button on this thing either, annoyingly. Which is kind of sad. This is absolutely suitable as a button terminal, and they didn't put any on there. But it does, for something that's a completely different mod pack, it does work out pretty well with Colts there. The other thing else I need to do is... realizing I've got a problem with the suspended ceiling that doesn't look like it's legit connected to anything. Just give me some of these guys. There we go. Doesn't have to be perfect, but close enough. So now that's actually got something holding it up or down or whatever you want to call it. Let's see. Lights. Those. Good grief. Where do I still have... Oh, right. These are the ones down in the garage. These are the ones that are up here. Thank you, Keen. Thank you so much. Still love how the detonate button is there. I think Dead Tech is trying to tell us something. Okay, now we got a bit more light coming in here. Might have to rethink the approach with the catwalks here. I like it, especially because the white light's reflecting a lot of light up into this area, so it doesn't look quite as dark. But this is really where I'd love to have some LCD screens and whatnot, and I can't put them in this block here, even suspended. I can't put them here, because without getting rid of... Let's see if I can get rid of this one at least. You should have an LCD that fits in there, kind of. I know that the cult consoles should. I saw one the other day. Command console. It's gonna be one of these two actually has the nicer looking edge on it that I want to work with. I don't know why I'm changing the color. It doesn't make a difference. Ceiling monitor. That's too tight. Yep, that's the one I'm thinking of. The one that's actually got the pieces to it. Just because that looks so much nicer when it's actually tucked in a spot like that. It's got a little bit of an overhead display as well. It's not perfect. I'll have to... Definitely I'm going to have to think about this one for a bit. Come back and revisit this idea. Let the idea percolate a little bit. And in the meantime, see if I can... tuck one more block back in here. Okay, 2 more blocks. Stop the sunlight at least. There we go. We get the nice light shadow through here as the sun's going around. Got a place to drop in and out if we're happen to be on jetpacks, and because I really don't see myself going up and down these stairs all that often, cool as they are. So we got the upper part of the building done. I need to work on a catwalk around the outside with an entrance to get in, which is going to be down around... What do I want to put them on? We'll make that about here. At least here for the base of the tower, really, is what I should be thinking of. Give the tower a little bit of a collar. You're gonna be tough because of that edge. Oof. If there's such a thing as managing to greeble yourself into a corner, this is probably going to be the spot that'll do it. Because I've got areas at both ends that need to be worried about. Let the Bob system take care of that for me. Bob, I put blocks there white. Didn't get them fast enough. Thought it was a neutral grid. I think if that's kind of the bottom limit of the tower there, and then I just need to figure out a way to get the catwalk up on this level instead. That'll work. Just continue the visible end. Try the rounded corner or wing blocks for the roof. I'm gonna be honest, wing blocks have me very nervous right now. Especially because there's definitely something going on with wings, and as much as we kind of said, yeah, it's something with the latest updates, I don't, of Space Engineers that is, I don't think it's necessarily that, because they are when you look in the past, when we've gotten the, like, for instance, when we had the thug boat down the planet, and the thug boat and the electric banana were both very hesitant to get off the planet's surface when we were trying to get them recovered. I think that was more a function of the wing mod kicking in than a problem that I assumed was with the modular thrusters in the atmosphere. Because now, when I've been flying the Cossack without the wings, it's flying beautifully. The only time I feel that laggy problem getting off the ground is I've either got my hovers on or I'm just that heavy. I like that. That's a pretty solid base to work off of there, actually. Let's do a bit of a runner down here. Let's kind of carry it down that way. Ooh. I like this. Need some doors here. Got 2 different levels. Oh, the door to use, the door to use. That's not really advanced double door offset. What you talking about? Dead tech cargo container floating in midair. I like that. Oh, that's cute. Oh, that's wrong. Give you something to anchor armor off of. No point in having a replacement door out here. Is not right. I do not want that. That piece. Just kind of build around the bob like so. Build around the bob. Boy, that sounds like a Space Engineers rip-off board game of some sort. Bring around the rosy, build the bob a posy. Pinkened, we all grind down. Now I'm really stretching that one there. Come on, base. You only gotta keep it with me a little while longer. I promise I will get you some more assemblers next time. And work on the hangar area. We will have more assemblers. You'll be able to keep up with my demands, because we're gonna need to keep up with them, because, oh yeah. The pace is about to be ratcheted up on the level of demands I'll be putting on the system. It's not too bad. I mean, it's that actually wouldn't be a bad control tower in general. And the trick I've got now is is the catwalk. Because I can't do it here because all of these blocks are occupied. There's nothing to anchor it with here. So, what we're going to do is placate the support gods in that manner. Just to get this up and going, at least. Nope, that's the right whales, whales. Come on, whales. Get in the right direction. Girders. Outrageous. Other funny thing is I look at those and I almost get a Babylon 5 feel to the door there. We'll worry about the interior. Don't worry, I'm not forgetting about the fact that I need an interior there, but I need a way to anchor this in some way that the game is not going to think that this is an isolated grid. Oh, the tricky things we do to make Bob not grind our things down. I can hide that block there. You're good. Alright, I can move this block to here. Put you there. I think I can just... Oh, come on, Keen. Let me in. Let me into that block. Let me do it. Darn it. Need to be able to place the block inside behind this slope next. And it looks like the curve is just enough, and I know if I start chipping at this, it's gonna ruin the natural look here. That's not too bad. I can live with that. Alright. You're not gonna let me do that until the temporary particles go away, but that now means got that piece done. Alright, this is really gonna get bizarre. Take that one out, take that piece out, and that piece out. Now that I know I can get them in there. Grab that. Place behind the grid, now that I can actually place it. Voxel games with Farrell. There we go. Problem solved. So now I can do... Nope, I don't want you to do that. Place on the end. I have to find the right corner. Where's my corner? That's the corner we want. So now that I'm anchored off of that block to here, through that, I should be able to get rid of this stand here. The wing fill block's the one that don't do anything. They're just armor with a different look. Yeah, I could. I could have used that up on the roof as well. The problem is there's still no... There's a corner with them, but it's an angular corner. I mean, really, that's my big problem up here is... I really wish I had a better way to put something on that end. I don't mind the armor ramps, or the armor panels up here. I think those look okay. I mean, it's not great, but it'll do. So now we have what appears to be, aside from one small, tiny little block here, which I can't do anything to hide better, a floating catwalk. Beautiful. That is exactly what we want, because now I can go in and actually finish off my catwalk with the correct railing. Assuming I can find it. It's in here somewhere. It's oriented right in the first place, and I just blew past that orientation. Right. And do the same thing on this end. Where are you? I wish there was a better way to do this in I mean, SimCity 4 has got the same problem with its mods. The way that they designed the build menu on that thing is absolutely horrific. You really can't get a good... There's no good order to get to anything on those. Could do that and then increase the stair, but it's kind of weird. Has to be the steeper stairway for certain. 1x, please. Not ramp. 1x both. So I want to carry this up towards the upper level, so I'll come back in and actually fit some... Oh, you are barely going to clear that. Oh, so close. I have a little bit of rock clearing to do, I believe. But it's not going to take much to do it. That's the good news. Let's see if I can do it without destroying the stairs. Making it look a little too suspiciously dug out. Because then what I can do is tilt this around. So go back to my catwalk and find the open one. I could wrap this around and very easily attach it up to the stuff on top, and then I wouldn't need any of the rigmarole that I've gone through for the whatchamacallit, but eh. Just a little bit. A little bit more precision drilling would actually be kind of nice on the drill. I am going to have a little bit of a lookout up here then, I guess. A little corner rail section. Yeah, it's not too bad. A little bit of a lookout so you can see the helicopters coming into land. Not that the game has helicopters without modding, but we have mods for those sorts of things. Could also... That's right, I gotta put a support down here. I'm gonna go for a very lean style support here. Yeah, change the block color in a moment too, because I'm not thrilled or married to the idea of having that in that particular setup. That color. Have a color theme for the base. It doesn't mean I need to use it every single possible spot. So all along here, let's get away from using the green, including stuff in between that doesn't want to take the fast-paced color replacement I'm trying to do on it. Come on. Why are you not changing color? There we go. There you go. That's not too bad. So if I happen to go for a little bit of a hike and need to come down from the top, I can kind of make my way down here without no jetpack fuel onto the base and just drop through there, or climb all the way down here and go inside the normal way. And then I drop down here. This is where I'm going to do some more of the catwalk, but I'm going to do this one as a proper inverted, because then I can do some stuff on top of it. Alright. Perfect. Don't want you there. So many places in this stairwell that these blocks are going to be able to connect to right now. No, 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 no. You don't go there. So the problem of putting these upside down is ever since he did the remodel on it, these don't quite look right now, because now the grill work is flush with the underside of the block. So if you want to do something like this and then still be able to, say, put a corner console in somewhere, this is the only way you can pull it off, and it looks a little weird. It's how the bottom of the trade surplus is set up right now, around the med bay in there. It's right there, and oh, that's where we put the light for that. I forgot about that. That's actually pretty suitable, actually. Let's clear a little bit more out around you. Oh, now I've done it. Now I've wrecked the light. I went and lost the welder to be able to fix it. There we go. I like... It doesn't really look like a light. It's like an overhead computing cluster almost. It's like something out of sci-fi right there. Needs to speak with the voice modulation script on that. Leave it open. We've got access to Bob from the inside. We've got access down to something that I could put down here. I don't know what just yet. And then down through here, the rest of the way is this. Well, what am I going to do to put that in? I'm going to go the lazy man's route. We're just going to mesh it in, because honestly, the odds of anyone ever going up and down this are pretty minor to begin with. I mean, realistically, this would be the part of the base that you would probably see protected against falling rocks kind of thing. Which is sort of what we're doing here. I'll leave the this spot open so I have a landing area that I can get out on, but there's really no need to do anything about this stuff. There and... Alright, let's see. Back up. How about that for walking skills? Didn't even have to try. I don't need anything holding me in here. I can make this work perfectly fine. And if that doesn't tell you just how addicted I've been to Minecraft over the years, yep. You can navigate a base like that. You may have been playing a bit too much. There we go. I'm not going to bother about enclosing this side of it either. I mean, really, I don't think you can actually even get in here. Yeah. Yeah, so you can't get in and out that way. So even if you're running around blind and using the wall for that, you're okay. And I've left this gap up top so that way, at the very least, if you want to take a shortcut, you can. But for the time being... Oh, there we go. Finally lost it. Damps, please, if you don't mind, game. There we go. Kind of like that. We got a little bit of a lower area for... That would be like your air traffic controller tower there. You've got kind of our approach systems there. Bob to keep everything intact and give us some parts to build with when we need them. Looks like we're about to lose the sun here as it stands, and I need to give you some lighting over here. Something... Thank you, game. I was not flying that hard. Something that's going to work well for what I've got here. Fortunately, the thing that would work the best would be a corner light. But because of the placement on said turret, I can't place it there. If I place it back here, it's going to light more of that than anything else. Could go for a compound light setup like that. Yeah, that'll work. Let's just adjust the light for that instead real quick. Radius Fallout. Rocket terminal off. Okay. There we go. So now it's not a completely dead corner of the base now. Actually has something to light in the area, even if it's just a bit of a backscatter light on the turret itself. Also need some lighting over here on the outside of the tower too. Because like I said, I've got to kind of disguise the fact that I've got lights in various places around here. And I'm kind of thinking corner lights. Should look pretty neat if I do them like so. Kind of bent that one around a little at an odd spot, but I guess we can live with one on the edge there. And the only other spot I would put one on the back side of the stairs here. So that'll give me some nice backlight relief. Got that. Got unknown signal popping in. Let's just deal with the rest of those lights. So all doubles I place except for the corners. Alright, so... nice subtle lighting. Take care of this. Stair climbing just looks silly. Yeah. I mean, realistically, let's be honest. We're in a game where we've got jetpacks. It's really kind of redundant to have stairs, but let's face it, if you are in a modern building, a very tall modern building, and you are in a situation where the building is on fire or anything like that, you become very happy to have those silly redundant stairs that nobody uses. Oh, yeah, but it's good exercise too. I mean, at the very least, finding yourself a stair to climb, better than nothing. Come on, game. Let me paint that. There. That light should blend in a bit better now. How about that? I'm happy. We've got a way to the base from way up on top of the hill if we absolutely need it. Which we probably will if we keep playing around with that spot over there. We've got a very basic defense on that side, which I can opt to mirror over on this side somewhere. Probably just something near the helipad area, where it's got some good coverage out here. All the room in the world for a runway out here. And a bit of a hangar to finish up. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with where we're at here, guys. Let me do something real quick. See if we can slow you down enough. And turn off ye annoying crosshair. Just see if I can get some good shots in here for next week's thumbnail. We got a lot that we're working on. Now it's getting harder and harder to actually photograph this base in one spot where you can see all the neat little angles of it here. But that's not bad. And then I am admittedly going to cheat here and do another time of day offset. Give me a proper sunset game. No, that's daytime. Come on. Sunset. You know that thing when the sun goes to the other side of the planet and it's completely dark? Thank you, game. There we go. How about that? That's actually working out pretty well for disguising the fact that I've got that Omni light coming in, the room lamp coming through the wood, the mountain there. That's shining up through that area, back in behind those doors where the console is. So that's actually doing a pretty good job of it. There's enough backscatter off that light that it'd be like, yeah, I could totally see there being some extra light showing up there. And we get the lights on top of the building there. Yes, I am happy with where this has gotten now. Aside from the antennas, I'm still not 100% sold on that. There's an azimuth antenna that I could put into play here. I just want to give it a little more variety on top than the vanilla antennas there. Even the tower by itself doesn't look that bad. I mean, it's just if that were the only thing at the base sticking out, if there were no garage or anything else, I'd be happy with that. Yeah, the helipad definitely needs side supports. That's something I'm going to get into next week, because that also... That whole area there needs a bit more attention now. So what I want to do is build it out a bit more further along the lake edge here. And that's also going to play into the where the runway is going to be, the full-size runway. If I can get it down, that's going to be the iffy thing on whether I can do it or not. Yeah, that is looking pretty darn slick to me. Let's see how the A turret came out okay. Kind of like the fact that you can the inside. Yeah, I definitely need to add some more lighting over in this area because the inside light's also affecting the conveyor tube there. That's that interior light going through the wall there. Still wouldn't change that. I would not remove these room lamps for anything in the world. That is still. You've got a little bit more work you have to do, but it's doing such a good job. And like on uncooperative, the room light at the top is reaching all the way down to the bottom of the spot where Tex is putting in the assemblers and the refineries. So it's just doing too good of a job of lighting up down there. Have that is a good. I mean, traditionally the base looks best from here because you've got a lot of extra detail in here. It's possible, yeah. I don't remember them actually managing to successfully place it, though. Actually, no, that's right, they were. That was right before the hover base started getting, the hover base got completely blown to crap, and I was having to go in and salvage blocks from everything just to ease weight on it. Hang on, maybe from above is the better shot here. Get rid of an annoying voxel deformation in the corner. Ignore the fact that my engineer lights himself up as if he's glowing all by himself. There we go. That's the screenshot that I want to end the episode on here, guys. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I am glad that you stopped by. Hope you guys have enjoyed my little bit of ramble all over the place tonight. I apologize for that. I'm a bit more scatterbrained tonight. Like I said, unfortunately, there are things going down in real life, and they are kind of back at the mine, so hopefully after tomorrow things will straighten out a little bit, and some sense of normal sanity can be resumed. Still up in the air, but if you liked yourself, go ahead and hit the like button. It really does help others find the content on the channel. Also, just to let you guys know, I have set up, finally, playlists for Relaxing Survival, and also the Battletech Flashpoint series. Flashpoint will be up next Monday. Then we'll be, like I said, on an alternating schedule with Relax Survival and Battletech Flashpoint, every other week. Still working on some things for later this week. I actually got delivery of a little something that I've been waiting to play around with again. Because by the time I went to play around with it prior, it was broken. It has now been since replaced and enhanced. So we will see how well that works out. I may have a little bit of something different. Possibly a return of an old game or two. We will see. I was no good at the one game when I was playing it, and the other game kind of lost my interest, unfortunately. I'll leave it mysterious like that. Ha ha ha. That's okay, Guelstorm. I mean, you made it to some of it, at least. And you can always go back and kind of watch what we missed, too, because the VOD should be up and running, and we're not past the 4-hour mark, so it should be relatively ready to go the second I end stream. If you got any suggestions or anything, like I said, go ahead and hit, like I like to say, go ahead and hit the dislike button. It is right next to the like button, but let me know, drop me a comment. Let me know what you think I could be doing to make this more entertaining. Not necessarily so much more what I could be doing to speed up the game flow or design something a little better, because it's relaxing survival. I'm just here to goof around after the craziness of Saturday and the PvP-ness of Friday, just to let things relax a little bit and do things at my own pace. So I don't always as much as I appreciate you guys, I really do appreciate you guys who are commenting and suggesting, oh, we could do this to do this better, or do that to do this better. Sometimes it's just a case of I haven't done it because, I could have been in orbit, and as soon as that ship dropped on me, I could have just gone to orbit and left this all behind. But I really do want to kind of start bringing this base up to a wrap, so at least I have a nice nice place to escape back to if I have to. Because once I go into orbit, things are going to get a little hairier. There is definitely stuff waiting for me up there, and I've got to break through somewhere and definitely get the paints, because that's driving me absolutely nuts. That I tried to actually get some more ordered the other day, and because I ran out of ochre, and yeah, the ship didn't even get anywhere near the planet. There was some sort of distress call going on in space, and something about some ship with a crazy laser beam of sorts, which is crazy because we don't have lasers in this game. And yeah, I'm a little annoyed. You can only do so much with colors on this planet when all you've got to do for colors is grinding up tree stumps and plants. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you next time. Take it easy.